everything African. We're going to be having debates, discussions, entertainment, as well as learning about business, art, history, and everything in between. Cultural, tribalism, and everything. We're going to be out here debating with some really interesting stuff. So like the video, share the video, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe for the best experience ever. This is the biggest channel on the Afrosphere. So come and join the team, become a Kaizorian, and join the Kaizorian Empire.
Universally exist within myself, within this premise, and I exist within this bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like a blue in the sky. I'ma fly like bird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma throw my bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fight like bluebird in the sky. I'ma eat like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Back again like the second coming. Strumming my vocal cords like the hummingbird in the sky. Y'all can't deny this. Real rap lyrics, it's like I ain't got no rhyming through the sky limit. What is skin tone, shade of color, but a parallel form of frequency like a ringtone on your phone. Melanin expression, tied up in the universe, feeling like God. Is this really us? Is it serious? Is it really wrong to be diverse? Am I diverge and immerse myself like an ocean beneath its waves? Be a divergent, born to be different. Indigo child, wild like canary, born to be a bluebird in the sky. Flying high like a bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. Yeah, bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Everybody scream bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Yeah, bluebird in the sky. Everybody, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like born black, sweet like a berry. Flying high like a canary. Scary with my hoodie on. Hating on my vibe on the street that you'll be feeling my frequency of the song. But I know that I ain't never ever gonna be ever the same. But I know.
Shalom, mother loving one. What's good? My Dusty's over there. Today, we're going to be talking about modern monetary theory, how money really works, and how Africa can print its way into success. Yes, all we need to do is print money. Now, they'll tell you that if you print money, you'll end up like Zimbabwe or Venezuela or Lebanon. That's not true. These countries did not practice MMT the right way. They didn't even know what MMT was. They just thought they needed to print more money and have more money in circulation. But that is not the only thing. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's begin the show. Let's learn about modern monetary theory, how Africa can make itself rich simply by printing money. Shout out to you guys. I'm your host, Kaizorian. If you want to support the show, go ahead on buy me a coffee, buy Kaiser a coffee, or 10. It's good, right? I don't mind how many you do buy, or go ahead on PayPal, support the show there, or share the video, right? Whichever way you feel you can support the show. So let's go ahead. Let's go learn what modern monetary theory is.
A crisis can sometimes be a positive thing because it acts as a catalyst for change and it makes us improve the way we do things. It may be that this pandemic acts as such a catalyst which brings modern monetary theory into the mainstream. So in this video, we'll look at modern monetary theory to see how it differs from the way we currently do things. Now, if you do want to keep abreast of what's going on and to learn about economics and investment, what better way could there be than to sign up for our weekly market, presenting one side of the argument, but she does it very eloquently. And personally, I really enjoyed reading the book. A good place to start with MMT is something called the household fallacy, which is the idea that budgeting for a government is exactly the same as budgeting for a household, which is to say that you can't spend more than you earn. Even Thomas Jefferson.
That's not true. Even in a household, you can't spend more than you earn. You can take out loans, right? Then you can pay off those loans by leveraging labor in a future date. For example, if I want to go out and spend a day, I want to spend $50. I'd have $50. I could borrow that $50, and then I can go out have fun. Then just leverage labor at a future time and just make sure I pay my debt. So even in a household, it's not like you just have to always make sure you're spending less than how much money comes in. It depends how you manage it. Anyways,
And in this letter in 1816, said that he doesn't like the idea of debt because it has to be paid by posterity and is effectively swindling futurity on a large scale. Before she was married, Margaret Thatcher was called Margaret Roberts, and when she was accepted into the Conservative Party in 1949, she said that the government should effectively do what a housewife does if money is short, which is to look at the accounts and see what was wrong. And in 2009, in the wake of the global financial crisis, Barack Obama channeled Thomas Jefferson when he said that the US shouldn't settle for a future of rising deficits and debts, which our children cannot pay. And politicians sometimes talk about paying off the debt, as Donald Trump did before he was president in 2016.
yeah, so here it is, right? In a revealing interview, Trump predicts a massive recession, but intends to eliminate the national debt in 8 years. We've got to get rid of the 19 trillion dollars in debt. Bob Woodward. How long would that take? Trump. I think I could do it fairly quickly because of the fact the numbers. What's fairly quickly? Well, I would say over a period of 8 years, and I'll tell you why.
When he said he intended to eliminate the national debt in the US in just 8 years, which would have meant paying off $19 trillion worth of US treasuries. And Nikki Haley, who may well run as a presidential candidate in future, obviously wants to establish her credentials by saying that debt is a recipe for economic collapse and American decline. The only difference between right-wing and left-wing politicians is...
Yeah, here's the thing, right? First of all, America does not need to pay off any debt, right? The only debt they really do need to pay off are the debts that they took on as securities, right? I would talk about bonds and treasury notes and things like that, right? Because if they don't pay that back, then people lose belief in America. That's separate, right? But they don't have to pay any other debt, right? And they can just print money to pay the debt. America's debt is, guess what, in American dollars. And guess what? America can print money. They can just change the numbers on their ledgers, on their central banks and other banks, right? So this is not really an issue for America at all. This kind of conversation, in fact, happening in America is kind of very, matrix-like sort of conversation. They don't have the same problems other countries. In fact, any country that has a currency that is actually accepted worldwide won't really have the issue of having to pay all its debt off. No, and debt is actually good, right? Debt is what actually allows an economy to exist because you're leveraging labor, you're leveraging intelligence, right, for future date, and that's how you leverage labor to do something more important.
It's how they intend to reduce the debt.
This is completely wrong, right? It says the more debt we take on, the more risky America becomes as an investment. That is not true, not at all. That's a recipe for economic collapse and American decline. No, if America stops being productive, right? If America stops creating things like Google, Amazon, and selling its services as well as hardware in the international market, then Americans' economy is going to decline. It's nothing to do with debt. Debt has to be paid back eventually. That's not true, right? Debt has to be paid back within the limit. For example, if I go and give the American government, right, $500,000, right, as some kind of bond, the America has to pay that within the time limit of that bond, right? If it's 10 years, 10 years. America can keep on taking more debts. They don't really have to worry about paying me back in such a short time. They don't have to pay my debt back in a quicker time. No, they don't need to, right? So this is completely not correct.
With those to the political right usually wanting to reduce spending, as Nikki Haley does here, whereas the political left usually wants to raise taxes on the rich, reduce military spending, or raise taxes generally in order to balance the books. But to get ourselves into the mood for MMT, there's this great quote from Margaret Thatcher when she was at the height of her power in 1983, when she said the state has no source of money other than the money which people earn themselves, and that there's no such thing as public money, there's only taxpayers' money. But this idea of household debt crops up again and again. So here's George Osborne in 2009 saying that Gordon Brown, who was then leader of the Labour Party, is maxing out the nation's credit card. And then when he became Chancellor in 2010, he started off a huge program of austerity, which meant cutting government expenditure by a very large amount, with a belief that this would be a hard road, but it would lead to a better future. Proponents of MMT point out that there's a big difference between currency users, which includes us and our households, but also companies and local governments, all of which have to balance their books. You can't indefinitely spend more than you earn without becoming insolvent.
You are an
Governments are not like us.
So there's a difference between currency users, that's us, companies, and local governments. We have to actually manage our money in a certain way because we don't have an ability. Yeah, thanks. I've just unmuted myself. We don't have an ability to create money out of thin air. We have to leverage something already. We have to leverage our assets in order to accrue more assets, right? And sometimes we have to leverage debt to get more assets, right? So, for example, a mortgage, right? If you have a mortgage, you've been paying that mortgage off for 10 years, you can remortgage, right? That means you're leveraging your property by increasing the years that you have to pay off your mortgage, but you can get some money out of it, right? All the equity in that 10 years, you can get that money as a loan from yourself. So you're leveraging your asset, right? That's how it works, right? If you're remortgaging a house, you've had a house, you're supposed to pay it off in 30 years. You pay it off 10 years worth. In that 10 years, the value of that property has increased, maybe it's, let's say by double. So the increased value is going to take into account how many years you've paid, right? Then you can take the equity of that 10 years as cash, right? And then it's a loan from yourself. And then you increase the number of years to your mortgage up to another 10 years. So you're back to that 30 years, right? That's leveraging your asset. That's how us, normal people, we can do to do it. But a government can't just print money. It's not the same. So this idea that governments out here collecting taxes so that they can pay for the needs of running a country is false. It just simply isn't true. Governments collect taxes actually as a way to reduce inflation, because when they do print money, they need to actually reduce that money in circulation. So what they really do is when they collect taxes, they just burn off some digits on the digital ledger, or they just physically burn some cash. That's it. I mean, this is why it's illegal to destroy money. You are not allowed to destroy money because you'll be messing with the government's plan. That's why governments take money. They don't have to wait to get taxes for them to do things. No, the taxes are there as a way to also make you believe in their money and their currency, because you have to pay taxes in their currency that they issue. So this is another way for each country to sort of maintain control over their currency. For example, United States dollars might be better than the pound. So some people say, you know what, United States dollar seems to be increasing across time in value compared to the pound. So I'm going to keep my money in the pound. I'm sorry, in the dollar. The issue here is you have to pay your taxes in the pound. So you will actually still keep a lot of your money in pounds too, because you'll be scared of any inflation or difference in value between the two currencies in a way that doesn't favor you, because you have to pay back the government. So it's a way to force you to believe in the government, That's what taxes are there for. Another reason is because the government needs to now burn the money that they had printed previously. But I want to make this very clear. No government with a central bank actually waits to get taxes to spend public money. No, that is a false. That's not how it happens. Back in the days when we had kings, we had gold, right, as currency. The king had to go and collect gold physically, and then use that gold to pay for them to them for the merchants. Maybe he has a big wedding to throw. He had to pay them in gold. He maybe had to pay the mercenaries to fight his war. So taxes were directly related to the government's ability to spend. That's when we had a finite standard such as gold, which is a limited resource and it's physical, right? It's real. You cannot just, um, you can't just print more gold. Now, of course, some governments started doing things where they made coins. Now, when you started making coins, the original coins were made of gold or silver, right? And they were measured in pounds or whatever weight measurements that they were to ascertain value. However, even within the Roman Empire, they started to devalue the coins by mixing them with other materials such as copper or tin to basically be able to print more money. Even within the Roman Empire, they already started to practice MMT, printing money in order for them to have more. America did it, right? It was actually one of the first countries to get off the gold standard, and they started printing money, right? Initially, they still lied to you, saying that, hey, actually, we take your gold, we will give you our currency, and when you want to come and collect your gold, this dollar will be worth one whatever unit measurement of gold that it was. You'll be able to collect it. After a while, they realized, hey, we can just keep printing money. This is how they escaped the recession. They just kept printing money. They realized if we print money, more money is in circulation, more people are able to pay people for services rendered, and generally because some of these services are actual assets in physical form, like buildings. More people are building, right, investing in property. More people are investing in industrialization, creating motor car companies, things like Ford, all that kind of stuff. America realized, of course, printing money was great because you're taking a debt from yourself and you're paying it back in the future as taxes. Great, that's how MMT works, right? America has been practicing MMT since they went off the gold standard. And every country that isn't actually on the gold standard practices MMT. So what I'm saying is not new. It's not. It's just most people don't seem to understand how the government really run the country. It's not the taxes that pay for things. It is the printing that the government does. The taxes are there to prevent inflation from going wild. So you pay back the debt that you took from yourself in taxes, and then you burn the money. That's how these things really actually work over there. Shout out to Ike over there. Shout out to Principled over there. What's good? What's good? Also, shout out to Chuku over there, and shout out to Flexed Up as well. Half premium, half tether, all black. Shalawam, shalawam.
Because they have the power to issue their own currency. Now notice that this only applies to central government, not to local government, which can't issue its own currency. Also, it doesn't apply to all countries. So for example, Eurozone countries can't print their own money, because that's now done by the European Central Bank, the ECB. But there are many countries.
So this is a perfect example, right? We remember like a country, I believe it was Portugal. Portugal actually went through a financial crisis. One of the reasons why is because they could not control their own money because they're part of European Union. The Germans, the French, and anyone who has powerful positions in the European Union control the economy, and they run all the economies of the other countries from a central region. So that's now the thing, right? Only sovereign countries, right, that actually, for example, the United Kingdom did not join the Euro zone completely and did not actually integrate the economy. They still maintained their central bank so that they could control their own economy. And actually, the pound generally is stronger than both the dollar, at least in terms of literal exchange rate, and also the euro. So the British did not want to leave behind the management of their money to the Europeans.
Countries which can issue their own currency, and that would include the US, the UK, Japan, and many others. Now, if you can issue your own currency, you can never become insolvent because you can just print more money. There are limits to how much you can print, as we'll see later, but effectively, it's impossible for the US to become bankrupt. How does that money actually get created? Well, this is an interview with Ben Bernanke, who was then Fed chairman in 2010, talking about the way the US central bank, the Federal Reserve, created money in order to buy US government.
Okay, so let's see how the central banks does it, right? And as I said, right, America practice MMT, and it's kind of funny, but Joe Biden, his advisors, some of these people don't actually know how this works, but the actual people that run the banks do. So this statement here says it's not tax money. The banks have accounts with the Fed. Uh-oh. Much the same way that you have an account in a commercial bank. So to lend a bank, we simply use a computer to mark up size of the account that they have with the Fed. That's it. They just print money, right? By just changing the amount of money in the bank. That's it. It's just money that's made out of thin air. It's much more akin to printing money than it is borrowing. Yes, it is just printing money. Taxes later pay for that debt that you've taken, because otherwise inflation would increase and then the value of money would, it will cause other kind of issues.
Bonds as part of the quantitative easing program. He stresses that they don't use tax money for those purchases. In order to pay a bank for its treasuries, the banks have accounts with the Fed, that's called their reserves. So to lend to a bank, the Fed simply uses the computer.
And this is kind of funny. Remember, poor people used to say things like, "Oh, so the government, yeah, the government is not good. The government just paid off all the debt that the banks have, in the 2008 credit crunch, whereby house market prices started going crazy, and then people couldn't afford to keep paying back these because jobs and market declined and money circulation was low." Right? So they said, well, the government is so evil. Instead of helping the poor little people, they were giving money to these banks, right? Yeah, because these banks run the economy. That's why.
To mark up the size of the account that they have with the Fed. In other words, there's someone on a keyboard who just types in the numbers, and the money's literally created out of bits and bytes. What's really different about MMT is that it reverses this centuries-old narrative which says that deficits, which is when the government spends more than it earns, are always bad, and austerity, when the government spends as little as possible, is always good. And the reasoning goes as follows. Imagine that we split spending in the economy into two buckets. The bucket on the left is the government, and the bucket on the right is everyone else, which includes normal people, but also companies and people and companies in other countries. Now, if the government spends $100, that transfers $100 from the government's bucket into the non-government bucket. And if $90 moves the other way via government taxes, then the government ends up with a $10 deficit. So the government is in the red. But because the numbers have to add up, the government's deficit means a $10 surplus for the rest of us. And those $10 could stimulate the economy, create more investment by companies, and be seen as a good thing. Or as Stephanie Kelton puts it, their red ink, that is the government's red ink, is our black ink. And in case you thought austerity, which is reducing the debt, was always a good thing, here's some data from Frederick Thayer, who's an MMT economist, who looked at the 6 largest debt reduction periods in US history. So these are the periods when the debt reduction happened. This is the amount.
Yeah, look at this, right? As I said, right, austerity means less economic activity, right? Let's just be honest, right? If the government is spending less money on affordable housing, what that means is people are not going to be able to afford as much houses. Those people having less houses are going to be able to find less jobs, right? Because everybody else is not going to be able to actually spend money, right? That's part of the issue. Austerity is not a good thing in general, right? It's not a good thing. It's one of those things which governments say, but in the modern sense where money is printed, right, and it's not based on a physical object, it's not good. Now let's look at the data over here, right? So each sustained period of budget balancing was immediately followed by a significant depression. There are yet to no exceptions to this historical pattern. So in 1817, around there, they reduced it, depression there, right? As you can see, right, there's always a following of a depression when you reduce money, right? You need money to be in circulation because that basically motivates people, because at the end of the day, what is money? Money is a tool that allows people to leverage assets and liabilities in a market.
by which debt was reduced, and without exception, there shortly followed an economic depression. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the debt reduction caused the depression, because correlation isn't causation, but it certainly is suggestive. Because if we turn these cash flows around, then a surplus for the government means a deficit for the rest of us. And the government is therefore draining money out of the economy. So let's imagine for a moment that government deficits are a good thing. How can we ensure that government debt doesn't get out of control? Country's debt relative to the country's income, which is its GDP, and that's the value of all the goods and services that the country produces over the course of 1 year. So let's imagine a country where the debt is 10 trillion and the GDP is also 10 trillion. Then that would be a debt to GDP ratio of 100%. In order to keep that number stable, if debt grows by 10% in 1 year, well, that's not necessarily a problem, as long as the country's GDP also grows at 10%. Because remember that the government's tax receipts, or its income, is proportional to GDP. But if government debt grows by 5% and GDP grows by 10%, in other words, the economy is growing faster than the debt, then the debt to GDP ratio will reduce over time.
100%. So basically, in simple English, right? You don't need to reduce your debt. You just need to make sure your debt is not growing significantly. But here's the thing: a country like America doesn't need to worry about debt at all, unless it's debt, such as treasury bonds and bills. Because if they don't pay that back, people are going to lose trust in them as an investment scenario, right? However, countries in Africa need to pay off their foreign debt because these foreign debts are not in their own currency.
Now, the amount by which the government debt increases in 1 year depends on just three numbers. The cost of servicing the debt, so that's the amount of debt that a country has, multiplied by the average rate of interest that the government pays on that debt. Then we'd have to add the spending by the government in that year and subtract the government's income, primarily through taxes. And the difference between spending and income is called the primary balance. So as long as these three numbers on the right-hand side are less than the monetary growth in GDP in 1 year, then you could actually have a fiscal deficit, which is sustainable. So MMT economists, such as James Galbraith, point out that prudent policy for central banks is to keep the projected interest rate as low as possible. And here he shows a very simple projection where you start off at a high debt to GDP ratio of 100%, but because real growth is higher than the real interest rate, the debt to GDP ratio is not only sustainable, but it's also falling over time, and is paying down the debt despite a 3% primary deficit. During the Second World War, when the US government needed to raise its debt to GDP significantly, it was the job of the Federal Reserve to do something called yield curve control, where they committed to buying unlimited quantities of treasuries in order to keep short-term interest rates below 0.3%, but also long-term treasuries below 2.5%. And that way, the government could ensure that it could service its debt and grow out of the very large debt to GDP ratio. And in 2020, the Japanese central bank is doing exactly that, because Japan's debt to GDP is over 200%. And in theory, during times of crisis, as we have now, the Fed could do this again. So what is this relationship between the level of government debt and inflation? This is an account of a conversation between J.F. Kennedy and one of his economic advisors called James Tobin. In this informal conversation behind closed doors, JFK was asking whether there's any economic limit on the size of the debt relative to GDP. And he says, there isn't, is there? That's just a political answer. And he asks, what is the limit? And Tobin replies that the only limit is inflation. And JFK, who sounds a bit like a closet MMTer, replies, that's right, isn't it? The deficit can be any size. The debt can be any size, provided they don't cause inflation. Everything else is just talk, which makes me wonder if other politicians have made this realization, but simply aren't brave enough to actually.
You don't need to be brave, right? Because everybody knows that the US practices MMT, right?
Say so in public. Now, after the financial crisis, central bank balance sheets grew immensely, both in Europe, and here we've got European inflation, and in the US. So this is US inflation. Now, bear in mind that the target for inflation by central banks is usually 2%, which I've marked with this red dashed line. Now, the narrative that I remember in 2011 was that everybody was talking about the amount of money printing being done by the central bank, the Fed, and also by the ECB, and the accepted wisdom was that this would be hugely inflationary. And although inflation did go above 2%, both in Europe And in the US, it certainly didn't stay there. In fact, what characterizes the decade after the financial crisis is that inflation was actually below target, and central banks were struggling to get inflation back up to that 2%, despite massive bond buying programs all over the world. So it turned out that this narrative, which was almost certain that we were going to get hyperinflation, was completely false. And that in turn suggests that our understanding of inflation and how to control it are seriously flawed. And yet all central banks across the world have stuck to this 50-year-old theory, which we'll describe in a minute. Another difference between MMT and more conventional thought is how you go about fighting inflation. The 50-year-old theory that I was talking about is based on the concept of NAIRU, which is, brace yourself, the non-accelerating inflation rate of unemployment. It's a very complicated name for quite a simple concept. So here in red, I've shown the Federal Reserve's estimate of US NAIRU, and it roughly tracks the average rate of unemployment. And I've shown US unemployment in blue on the same axis. During periods when unemployment is very high, there's said to be a lot of slack in the labour market. So if you imagine that there are 100 people who are qualified to do your job, well, in that case, it's very difficult to negotiate a pay rise because your company could fire you and hire someone who's much cheaper. But during these periods when the unemployment dips below NAIRU, that's a very tight labour market in which employees have a much stronger negotiating position to raise their wages. So the conventional theory is that when the unemployment rate is less than NAIRU, workers can negotiate pay rises, and that can create something called demand pull inflation. As people's salaries increase, they have more disposable income, and companies respond to that greater demand for their goods and services by raising prices. But when I add inflation to that graph, which is the green line, during these periods when there's a very tight labour market, for example in 2019, the labour market was below NAIRU. In other words, we'd overshot full employment, according to the Fed's definition, and yet there simply wasn't a huge spike in inflation. But it seems like the central banks around the world are completely ignoring the fact that their theory is fundamentally flawed. The trouble with NAIRU is that it's impossible to estimate. Nobody really knows what the rate of unemployment is where inflation starts to kick in. So the Fed can always say, well, the value of NAIRU was lower than we thought, rather than just admitting that the theory is flawed. And this makes life unbelievably difficult for the Fed. It's a little bit like navigating a sailing ship when you know it's really close to some rocks, but it's foggy and you don't know where those rocks are. Maybe you can hear the waves breaking on the rocks, but you can't see them. The Fed never really knows how close it is to NAIRU, and that means that it has to raise interest rates before it hits the rocks, before it hits NAIRU, which means that it could end up being scared of something there. And the fact that it's willing to accept an unemployment rate of 5% means that there's a great deal of human suffering for those 1 in 20 people who, according to this theory, must remain unemployed in order to avoid inflation. So the Federal Reserve is very jumpy. And at the first sign of inflation, the natural thing to do is to raise interest rates as soon as possible. And Stephanie Kelton puts it very well. She says no matter how many people remain jobless, the Fed can claim it's done its best. And there's simply no way to reduce unemployment further without causing inflation. For those who are still without jobs, and remember that's 1 in 20 people at the moment, tough luck. There's also a problem with the Fed's control mechanism. When it thinks inflation's going to go higher because unemployment is approaching NAIRU, then it'll raise interest rates. And people have compared this to taking away the punch bowl at a party when things get a little bit too rowdy. But how effective is this punch bowl? Do interest rates really work? Well, you can see after the global financial crisis that it took over 5 years for unemployment to get back to where it started. For much of that time, the Fed was acting alone after the initial flurry of bailout programs in 2009 and 2010. Of course, low interest rates help because people and companies can borrow more cheaply and it makes credit more easily available. But the question is, if the government had had a bigger deficit and spent more, would it have brought about a faster recovery? And the answer is almost certainly yes. So the MMT version of the control mechanism isn't about just interest rates. It's to do with fiscal policy rather than monetary policy, which means that when unemployment is higher, the government either cuts taxes or spends more. Now, the type of tax cut is very important. When you increase the income of the most wealthy in society, they don't necessarily increase their expenditure significantly.
Poor people spend, poor people keep the economic activity high. That's just generally how it is. So the richer people, the money is going to be, sure, some of it will having economic activity if you put in stocks and bonds, but generally, rich people don't actually spend as much as poor people in comparison, right? So the difference is MMT is not even really a theory, right? It is an analysis, right, of how money really works. It's an accounting theory, right? It's not new. It's not, this is just how governments really do things these days.
So if a millionaire has another $10,000, is she going to rush to the mall and spend that money? Probably not. But for people with average or lower incomes, they're much more likely to go out and spend that extra disposable income. And that has a much bigger effect.
You know the kinds of people, right? Oh my goodness, the shilling is gone so weak right now. I wish I had a little bit more money in my pocket. I'll take my family out for a meal, right? Those are the people who are going to start spending more money when taxes are lower. They're going to have literally, they're going to feel the difference more, and they're going to spend more money. So that's actually a better way to do things, really, when the unemployment is high, right? To get things back to normal.
Effect on the economy. Similarly, if you spend money, you have to rely on government to do that wisely. In other words, you spend it on something which has a high fiscal multiplier, which means that every dollar that you spend gets recycled in the economy multiple times and has a bigger positive effect on growth and employment. But if you are spending too much and inflation starts to rise, the MMT approach is to either raise taxes and or spend less, because that removes money from the economy and should slow down inflation. So this is quite different to the current system, which depends almost completely on the...
That's it, right? Let me just look at this thing again to explain it. If the inflation starts to rise, you just increase the taxes. You get that money back and you burn that money. That's it, right? When then unemployment is too high, you just cut taxes, right? And you put more money into the system. That's it.
central bank setting interest rates. Another Fed chairman from the past, Alan Greenspan, put it extremely well. He says there's nothing to prevent the federal government from creating as much money as it wants and paying it to somebody. The question is, how do you set up a system which creates the real assets which that money can buy? So instead of focusing so much on balancing the books, a government which uses MMT would focus much more on capacity utilization. Capacity utilization is what percentage of your existing capacity you're using in order to produce finished products. A good mental image to have is imagine a factory which has 100 machines. If the capacity utilization is 50%, then it's only using half of those machines. And if demand increases, it can service that demand by just switching on more of those machines. And that doesn't cost it much more money. Whereas in the 60s, the US was much closer to 100% utilization, in which case to create more goods and services, it would have had to expand its existing infrastructure, which would have been very expensive and inflationary. Now, fortunately, capacity utilization is much easier to measure than a fairly airy concept like NAIRU, where generally no two economists can agree on the same number. So in a way, this understanding of inflation would be easier to implement than the one we've got.
Yep, this is exactly the idea that we came up with the other day. Right, capacity utilization. I'll have to do more research into it, right? But that's it, especially for Africa. Remember, this is for African economies, how we can use MMT rather than 50 years ago, science on economics, right? So how much capacity is being used from the total available capacity to produce demanded finished products? It sheds light on how much more firms can produce without additional costs. Right, so the government can basically use this to control what finished goods they need to be producing, how much people can afford / have a demand for these goods, and that's how you manage it, right? As I simply said, Africa has one of the greatest assets, right? Labor. It has the fastest growing population, yet they're borrowing money from the IMF, from the World Bank, when they don't need to, when they can just print money. When you print money and create businesses that produce finished goods within the local economy market, right? Let's say you print money, you give it to these young men and women working to create roads, right? To create houses, right? So what you're doing here is, first of all, you're increasing the infrastructure, roads, houses, real estate, commercial buildings. Some of them you print money, you pay these young men and women to basically work in industries such as fertilizer companies, etc., farming, right? You're creating a solution to some of these finished products that are having high demand. You're increasing the cash in people's hands, and you're producing industries. That's all you have to do. You don't need to take debt, right? African countries don't need to do debts. What they do need to do, though, is they need to stop buying things from
now. It's interesting to look at the objections against MMT. And the one which upsets people the most, and which is highlighted in this note from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, is whether countries can borrow in their own currency and not worry about government deficits. And in this not very scientific survey of economists, 88% of the economists that were surveyed disagreed with this concept, which is fairly central to MMT.
Is a banana a metabolism booster?
Oh, America is a perfect example, right? America can actually print money, right? Let me go back to read that excerpt. Okay, so while these views are being discussed among economists, they don't reflect the consensus on the profession. In a recent poll, 80% surveyed economics disagree with the idea that countries can borrow in their own currency. Sh- Um, countries that can borrow in their own currency should not worry about government deficit. No, but they don't have to worry. America doesn't need to worry about it. That's a fact.
And they print money, then this could lead to extremely high rates of inflation or even hyperinflation and often ends in economic ruin. But I think that misunderstands how MMT actually works. As we've already seen, MMT economists have thought very hard about how to control inflation if the deficit gets too large and the increased demand for goods and services exceeds the capacity of the economy to generate those goods and services. What I think is ironic about this objection as well is that it perfectly describes what the Federal Reserve was doing in 2009 and afterwards, which is the massive program of quantitative easing. So MMT is quite different from the current dialogue which we have when we're talking about crises, but also about government spending. And the next time you hear someone say, but how are you going to pay for it? You'll be able to say MMT. If you enjoy our
Shout out, guys. The link is open. Let's have a discussion. Let's do economics over there. Call in. Let's discuss and let's build. How can we make Africa rich again? How do we leverage our labor? Because as I stand here, right, as a comedian, right, Africa can leverage its labor. We are the single fastest growing continent on the planet, right? So that means we have unlimited labor. Other countries don't have enough labor. Countries like European countries with an average birth per woman of 1.3, that is way below replacement, right? To even maintain the same population, aka paying for public services such as um, retirement funds, right? We're talking about social funds, retirement funds. You can't pay for retirement funds if you don't have a growing population, right? You need a growing population to even grow these businesses. Insurance companies, insurance companies leverage the unborn, right? So what that means is, for example, if you've got a life insurance package, the insurance company is leveraging the fact that you are going to have children in the future to grow more exponentially than the money that they have to fork out. Meaning, if you don't have a growing population, or at least a replacement population, which requires each woman to give birth to 2.2 children, Europeans are only giving birth to 1.3 children per woman. Your whole economy is going to collapse. Insurance companies cannot exist without a growing population. Simple as that. Retirement funds can't be paid without a growing population. Africa has uh, an advantage here, a young population that's ready to work, yet there is no work. And there's no work because there's no money, right? The government cannot just go around practicing 50, 1920s economies, economic structure by waiting until they get taxes and then they use the taxes to go and increase spending on social programs. No, just take a debt from yourself, pay that debt back using taxes. It's really that straightforward, right? Use taxes to pay the debt back, then you control inflation, and now you actually have built an economy that is growing. That is the simple solution to Africa's problem. We need to start thinking outside of the box rather than thinking in 1950s basic economics that just doesn't even work, right? And that's the honest truth here, right? We can do it, but we just simply aren't doing it enough, and that's part of the issue. Let's see. Oh yeah, as I said, guys, the link is there. Call in. I want to hear some perspectives here about economics. And I know that you guys don't understand this, right? It's a little bit different than the usual economics conversation, right? That United Nations will talk about, and you have to take debt, and then you have to pay back the debt, and this is how you can only pay debt using a single way. You have to take money from IMF. You don't need IMF money, right? You don't need it. So when they say China has given Africa how many billions of dollars, you don't need Chinese money either. you can just make your own money, right? As I said, you guys can just print money. You do not need to take debt. We finally resolved this, right? We've been having this conversation for 3 years. We learned about the Eurodollar system, right? That's a system whereby basically America and the Europeans control the rest of the world economy, because both the euro and America are the world reserve currencies. The euro takes up 20% of the market. The dollar takes over 60% of the market, and every trade is conducted in these currencies, including the pound and the yen. What this basically means is these countries controlled world economics. You are caught as an African in catch 22. You have to you have to choose between investing your money in agriculture, right, by basically being food secure, or you have to think about growing tea and coffee so that you can get euro dollars so that you can buy other materials that you need. This is the catch 22 of the euro dollar system. Now we have gone full circle and we found the solution, and it's called MMT. Stop taking debt from the Muzungus, print money, use that money to create finished products that people are going to buy, and then also create a skilled population that can also be leveraged as labor to other countries, which is already happening right now. Kenya's done a deal with Germany to send 10,000 plus workers into there. There's already a program with Kenyan nurses and the UK. This is the future. But how do you get more qualified people to now start trading as service-based economy? These people will be paying taxes to both countries, the African country that sent them and the European country that accepts them. And then European countries benefiting because right now there is a deficit of labor to be able to pay for these funds. As I said earlier, the key economies that are going to break down is insurance. For insurance, you need an exponential growth of population for people to keep paying into that system. So every insurance company is going to fall, right, very soon in Europe and America. What else is going to fall? We're talking about retirement funds, 401ks. All these things are not going to be sustainable because the government will refuse to pay when the time comes, or the money will have reached inflation and you will not
Check one,
benefit
two.
from it. But anyways, we've got Ike over here. Check 1 2. Go ahead. The mic is yours.
Shalom, shalom, mother loving one. That's IC3 down there. Shout out to you as well. Well, hope I'm coming loud and clear. There's no echoes and whatnot. But obviously, you've laid down many things on the table, right? The idea of how to develop the skill, right? The skilled labor force that will be able to utilize said money that you're printing, or be able to go out there in the world, or or shall I say, leverage the need for labor by these countries with low birth rates, which that's like a 30-year plan, which is a good thing in the sense that you can start to invest in that education process right now, to such that you have the people that are available, right? Because they're not going to start feeling the pain, right? Europe and these other people with less than replacement birth rates, they're not going to start feeling the pain tomorrow. It's going to be 30 years, 50 years from now. And just a quick word on this. So all I've just said there is, okay, there is a need for that. I don't know, there is a plan, right, actually, to educate these people. But to educate and develop that human capital, you do need some money. And this is not money that's going to pay off next year or 10 years. It's going to be like a 30-year thing.
Your connection is not so pleasant to listen to. I'm not sure if that's possible to fix.
I have to, you know what? Go ahead, IC3. Let me see what I can do.
Yeah, IC3. You hear what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Sounds,
So you need to help me get my head around this. So what you're saying is that the African nations don't need to borrow from the West. What they can do is print money just like the West do, when they call it quantitative easing. So you're saying Africans can do the same. Is that correct?
100%. There is no need for anyone to borrow money. We do not need to borrow any money at all. This is a farce. It's a facade. As I explained it, IC3, America was the first big nation to go off the gold standard, and it worked.
Right.
It worked, right? People complain, oh, increase the inflation, and it did. But so what? It's the richest country in the world. And if you talk about it, right? Remember, when you're dealing with economics is the study of human behavior when it comes to exchange of assets and liabilities. That's what economics is.
Right.
Human
Yes,
behavior.
I agree.
So
Yes.
if you compare the increased inflation of the American dollar, it's still much lower than the inflation of all the other currencies. We, with MMT, we view each country as a company, not a country as a company. The company just has to be better than other companies.
Right.
So in this case,
M-
right? Go ahead.
yeah, I'm trying. Yeah. So this is new to me. So
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
MMT. Yeah.
Yes, modern monetary theory. This is a theory of accounting for companies which can create its own currency and issue it out. ID3, okay. If I pay you for a service right now, what's
Hmm.
happening is, okay, so if you pay me to write one of your newsletters,
Hmm.
you are paying for my labor and my time and my, you know,
Yeah. Right.
intelligence to write something right for you.
Right.
So if you don't have the money in your pocket, you can just print.
Right. But then you would have to be convinced that the stuff that the money that I'm printing is going to be useful to you. You can use it. So
Correct.
that comes to the exchange rate then, because okay,
Mhm.
you can print the money, but what use is the money to? What use is the money to you? Will you be able
Well,
to
this is
get
why you have
what you want?
taxes, right? Taxes
Pardon?
help. This is why you have taxes. Taxes help the average population believe in the currency because you have to pay back the taxes or you lose your land or you lose your home. When you don't pay back taxes, in investments, and our taxes come as interest rates. For example, if you have a mortgage, you have to pay that interest rate every month. If you don't,
Right.
you are in jeopardy of losing your home. So taxes allow us to believe in the system,
Right.
so that we are
Yeah. Forced
participating in the
faith.
system.
Right.
Right, right.
But
So
does that
go ahead.
principle also apply with foreign service? So you've got an option of paying you to do it because you're a member of my state. So I can
Mhm.
pay you, invest in you, print money and invest in you in order so that you can be productive and then build the state. Or I can choose to pay a foreign contractor to do it, thereby saving money, but I would say destroying the state.
Okay. So you're asking about using contractors from outside.
That's
So
right. That's right.
here's what
Because you have a
matters, right?
choice. The government has a choice.
Yes.
Should I use pay my own workforce, print the money to pay my own workforce, or print the money to pay foreigners who may be able to do it cheaper?
Okay, good question. Good question. For Africa, you always need to pay the Africans because you're creating equity in the actual workers. You're creating a
Right.
skill that doesn't exist yet. And that
Which is
skill is going to
which
be
is
much
interest as
more.
well, isn't it? Because
Say that
that's
again?
how I see it. It's the same. You're saying creating equity within the workforce within the state. Um,
Yes.
but I see that that word interest. Are you earning an interest? It's in the interest of the state.
Yes, it is an interest in it. You actually, the interest, okay, so the equity growth, there's also an interest growth because these people, you'll be able
Yes.
to collect taxes back from them. So
Yes.
not only do you collect the taxes back from these people, you also enable these people to have a skill now that they didn't have
Yes.
before. So that's going to help the state out because now you can rent off your workers to other countries and also earn that money. So
Yes. At a
if
high
your
exchange
country,
rate.
exactly, at a high exchange rate. So initially you need to educate your population, but the main point here is print money. You just go do
Yes.
print money, but you don't print money and just give it to useless people. That's what
Right.
countries like Venezuela did,
Yeah.
and they did suffer from hyperinflation.
Right.
With Zimbabwe's case is different. Zimbabwe was actually in a executive sanctions. They could not actually sell anything in the international market. They were not allowed to use Swift. Right now, I'm not monetized by YouTube, but I am monetized on Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal. I'm using Swift system, right? When you guys send me a coffee on Buy Me a Coffee, that is paying me directly on the Swift system. So I'm not actually sanctioned completely, but Zimbabwe was sanctioned. They could not
Right.
access any of these. The central government could not access any of these systems and that's why the inflation went high. They printed money, and that money didn't go into producing products; it just went into circulation, but without creation of finished goods. So what you do is you print money and focus on the finished goods that people are going to consume. So tell me if there's anything wrong with the argument. There's not. Think about it. IC3. Why borrow money from the West when you can just print it in high interest?
Yeah, yeah, but okay, but you see, but what you're saying there, okay, it seems so straightforward,
Yeah, it is
and
straightforward.
it's like it's. I find it difficult to think that these highly educated people.
IC3, they don't even know what MMT is. If you ask any of these African economists,
Right.
IC3, if you even ask the Kenyans, they had increased taxes called the Finance Bill 2024, and you ask them why are we increasing taxes, they will tell you that we're increasing taxes because we're trying to pay off the debt, the Eurobonds, right? That's not true. You cannot pay back a debt in your own currency.
Right.
You already see what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
they can't even tell you why they're increasing taxes. They're increasing taxes because they're trying to prevent inflation. That's all. Because they printed some of the money's in circulation. Now they're trying to reduce that inflation by reducing the circulation of money. That's it. But they won't tell you that. They will tell you, oh, it's because we're trying to pay debt. How are you going to pay debt in Kenyan shillings? And you can't.
Right.
People think you can exchange money. You cannot exchange money. It's interesting, but people really think when you go to a bank, you can exchange from naira to a dollar. You can't. You cannot go to a
Do you
bank
think?
and exchange naira to a dollar. They won't let you,
Yeah.
right? What happens is when you go and exchange naira for dollar, that is money that's already assigned for economic activity. That's part of the reserve currency that's just always doing that. And
Yeah.
that is just there because the government realizes that there's going to be some merchants who buy things from China, from America, for the consumption of the middle class. So that's why they let you exchange money. But there is no such thing as a money exchange from naira to a dollar. It doesn't exist. This is just a facade that the government creates to make you think that's what's really happening. That money is
Right.
heavily controlled by the central bank. When they need to pay off the taxes, they use that money to pay off the taxes. Right now, in fact, in Nigeria, you can't even exchange money into dollars. Same with Ghana. You actually physically can't do it. I see.
Right.
As in,
It's
what I'm not. Hang on. Let me make this pretty clear for you listening. Usually, like in Kenya, you can go and exchange some money to dollars. Sure, they let you. But in Nigeria and Ghana right now, you cannot even do it. So there is
And
no such thing as foreign exchange. It's no such thing. It doesn't exist.
Guys, I see you. I have a question. Why is inflation really affecting Africa really bad compared to the rest of the world? That's because I'm asking. The inflation in the United States, in Europe, why is it in Africa it's affecting us very bad? There must be reason.
Why is the African inflation really bad? There's some reasons. One reason, obviously, is the white man will tell you Ghana took out some treasury bonds and bills. They in actually dollars. They couldn't pay it back, and this obviously crippled the speculation in the market that Ghana is not a trustworthy place to do business. So less foreign investment, direct investment in Ghana. They lost billions of dollars of FDI. When you lose money in FDI, it means that you don't no longer have that dollar in circulation, right? Just to make it clear, because of the euro dollar system, when Wazungus come and spend billions of dollars in your country, it's not that they're actually spending money and that somehow that money is special. The reason why it's good for you is because you the central bank take that money in actual dollars, put it in your central bank to use either to pay off the debt that you took from the World Bank or buy stuff from other countries. So that's why it's good, right? You just need some.
so that's why tourism. That's what, because they just want to try and get hold of those dollars, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's all.
Right.
That's all. That money is not really, 1 second, Chuku. That money is not really like it's not like we can't just print money to go and build buildings in Africa. We can, because we have the labor, we have the materials. So it's not that we can't go around building mosques and churches and science buildings. It's actually more or less FDI is good because of the circulation of the dollar, specifically the dollar. Yeah, go ahead, Chuku.
Yeah, I see. They're also funny. Like example, Nigeria president, he go to all these countries around the world. So they're also funny. all this money bringing is not really affecting the Nigerian citizen. That's sad. He goes to all this country, going to travel on, but Nigerian people are still in poverty. Having affect Nigerian citizens. It's the same with Dangote oil. Dangote created this oil refinery in Nigeria. But what happened? Why is the oil price in Nigeria so high? I thought it's supposed to be lower. Why is it so high? Even Dangote could trade the oil refinery. See, this is a problem.
Nigeria?
Yeah.
Nigeria is even worse. Let me explain why it's still high. Nigeria is one of the coons of Africa, right? Right now, Nigeria has signed a deal with, I believe, an Irish company, right? But I'll confirm with the country. The Nigeria government is trying to make itself fail. And this is very, very on purpose. And there's some pernicious, nefarious people in power that don't want Africa to move forward.
Right.
I'll share a link, right? Nigeria has done a deal with a country to start making other oil refineries in the country. And this is after they have built the world's largest, single largest oil processing plant. Now, just let me just say that again. Nigeria is trying to undermine Dangote's refinery by doing a deal with foreigners to build more oil refineries in Nigeria.
Wow.
I'm not making this up.
I have a quick question to ask you, okay?
Go ahead.
Why would he undermine, that person when having more oil refineries in the country would be seen as a net benefit? Because you would need people to work those refineries, and it would be more employment for the native population.
Okay, let me explain why. It's undercutting because that money is going to be leaving the country. That money should be coming into Nigeria. Remember, right? You're going to be employing people, but the employment there is not that necessary because the key thing here is about controlling the money. So let me explain, right? If Nigeria has just their own national oil that actually Dangote, who does reinvest in Africa, owns a share of it, and the government also owns a share of it, they can actually employ people too. B, that money will be kept in Nigeria. All the euro dollars of them exporting remains in Nigeria. When they're doing partnerships with Irish companies, that money is going to be leaving the country, the dollars, and Nigeria needs the dollars. Right now, Nigeria is so broke that if I go to a bank right now, I cannot even withdraw more than a certain amount of naira per day. And if I go to a bank, I cannot even withdraw dollars. It's impossible for me to get hands on dollars in Nigeria or Ghana right now. So this will just be creating a bigger problem of accounting, which is less dollars for the country. And less dollars for the country means Nigeria cannot fix its deficit, right? Right now, I believe Nigeria's deficit is close. Nigeria exports as much as it imports. For Nigeria to become rich, it needs to import less than it exports. Right. So in this situation, even though in Nigeria will be exporting more with having more oil refineries, the money is going to be leaving the country, the majority of it.
So, okay, you've got a good way of kind of simplifying it and making it clear. But so, what is the logic you think that those? What are they thinking and discussing in the meetings when they're deciding to do exactly what you've described as? Which will result in money leaving the country. It's making me think that they see the nation. We just use Nigeria. They see Nigeria as just another business entity. There's no fundamental value in the people. It's just another entity that you can trade with. The people are not really relevant, because if you're just focusing on, well, we're going to make money or save money by doing this, you're not really thinking about the people as such.
Guys, which Irish company is Nigerian government partnering to build a refinery for? Can you tell me?
Okay.
Just give me one minute. I'm just getting the link ready.
I just wanted to say this, Kay. Wouldn't the Nigerian government still be receiving a form of taxes and also some sort of royalties from the foreign entities in order to be drilling in their land? Wouldn't they be, receiving some sort of income, whether it's appropriate or not? That's
No,
depending on.
refinery is not them drilling anything.
Hmm?
A refinery doesn't drill. A refinery just refines.
Well, still, like there's still that they have to be drilling. The company still has to be drilling for the refinery in order
No,
to operate.
drill for refinery. No, you refine. You refine oil. You're not drilling.
Yeah, the oil just comes in and they refine it and they get paid for doing the service.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
what I'm saying is that the people who are being
Can you please
employed
tell
by
me?
that Irish company is
Not like
still
Kaiser running
paying the
away. First
Nigerian
of all,
government in the form of
is there really
taxes.
an Irish company that's refinery that Kaiser is talking about? Is there really an Irish, or is this something Kaiser just put out of his
Give
butt?
me a second. I'm posting.
No,
I'm posting it.
Because
Yeah.
we
no.
all
All
know
I'm saying,
Kaiser come here to just feed information that is untrue. You speak with confidence. You speak very good English. And some people they're not smart, just swallow it and think they know, like he knows what he's talking about.
no, like all I'm saying is that the Nigerian government should be receiving taxes from the employment of the other from its own citizens inside the country. Now,
Right.
I understand that it's not a significant amount of money in comparison to what the potential company is making off of the oil, but what I'm saying is that it's still contributing to the Nigerian economy. It's still, in my opinion, not as big of a positive, but it's still a positive nonetheless.
Mm.
The question is, does the company really exist? That's the question.
Yeah, we start there. See, LA Thorn, I think that this argument, because like you're saying, does it benefit Nigeria? It's the same thing
So
as
let me ask this
the
question.
argument.
Yeah.
Go on, Kate.
Let me ask this question, right?
Kaiser.
Elethon, the thing here is Africa is trying to become self-reliant. If you're now outsourcing the companies to do things that you can do yourself, and actually you can enrich your own population, you're undercutting because the government and Dangote will get less money in this sort of deal. Again, less euro dollars, and what you'll do also is you'll continue the reliance on Western companies. So yeah, here is this is the news report over here. Nigeria allows South Korea, sorry, not Ireland, South Korea. It doesn't matter which country, right? South Korea to build 4 new refineries. So let me share it, and then we'll discuss.
The Nigerian government has approved a proposal by South Korean investors to build 4 new refineries in the West African nation. Nigeria says each of the 4 refineries, which will be built in different parts of the country, will have a capacity of processing up to 100,000 barrels of crude per day. Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Heineken Obri, said on Tuesday, October 8th, that the South Korean group of investors has since been invited to lay the groundwork for construction.
Okay.
That's it, right? Taking
Okay,
the
so
easy way
they're
out.
coming. They're giving a company contract to come build refinery for who? For South Korea or for Nigeria?
Well, it's going to be a partnership, right? It's going to be South Korea
Mm-mm.
building it and owning it, and the Nigerian government will own
Where
the
did they say owning it? What did they say that?
So, Mike, you can't defend this. You
Oh no,
Nigerians
oh
are.
no. The company Dangote employed to come build this refinery is not an Indian company. So does it now mean the Indian own Dangote's refinery?
No, this is different. You
You gotta give me the full context. Well, give me the full details. Give me the facts. Don't first you come here telling us an Irish company, an Irish country is coming to own a refinery in Nigeria. Now you're switching to South Korea. Come on, you gotta give us the facts, man. Come on, you can't be feeding people information just to denigrate a country you don't like. I guess I mean, you
This is
gotta be
South
honest.
Korean investor. Hang on. No. You see,
Just
Mike,
to degrade countries you don't like. We all know, you just wanna. You always
No,
want to
hang
make
on.
Nigeria look
Right.
retarded, make
I'm
Kenya
giving you.
look like some genius society. We know that, we get that. But at least be factual about what you're doing. You just want to make
Yeah.
up things. First it was some
So
Irish, South Korea. But let's go ahead. Go ahead. Give me all the evidence. Go ahead. Yeah.
this is coping. This is coping. I'll give you all the evidence right now. Right. The Dangote one paid Indian people to do. They were contractors to build, right? This is actually investors, right? So I'll make it clear. I'll share a news channel. These are investors. These are not just workers, right, coming to do it. Dangote paid the Indians. These are investors
Mm-hmm.
coming with their own money. So let me show the difference. Give me a second. Here it
Mm-hmm.
is. I'm just sharing the screen. This is from this website over there. South Korea investors, right, planning for
Mhm.
Nigerian refineries. Already go ahead. Let's go down. A
Oh,
consortium of investors from South Korea has concluded plans to build 100,000 barrel capacity. Investors, these are people owning this in various
right.
locations.
Where did they
Nigeria, the
say they
federal government.
own it?
I do have
What
one
do you think an
question though.
investor is? What do you think an
Who
investor
is
is, Mike? An investor is not a contractor to buid. They're the ones who own it.
And have a
No,
share.
I'm
bro.
just asking
Have
though. I'm
shares.
just asking though. Is the local workforce going to be building the refineries? Because I'm assuming that
Some.
the investors are going to use the local labor market. Otherwise they might bring in foreigners to construct the
That's
refineries.
irrelevant. To build something, you need skilled
Yeah,
workers, people that have
it's
the
actually
knowledge.
here.
You can't just say you want to
Here's a
hire
proof.
somebody. Come on.
Here's a proof. Here's a proof. We have adopted a public-private partnership model, right? So the South Koreans will own a share in this to unlock investment in the midstream and downstream segments of oil and gas. So instead of putting all the
Show me
effort
where
into
you
that,
say they own a share. Show me. You gotta show. You gotta show the proof. You can't just.
no, come on, Mike. Come on, Mike.
You don't
You
say
can't.
come on. Show me the
You,
contract. Show me where they say they own a share.
come on.
You have to show me where they say they own a share. What percentage of share? Show me. You gotta present
in
facts.
addition,
You can't just make up
here
things. Man, come on.
it's here though, right? Look, in addition,
Do you
we
know? Do you
prioritize
know the? Say it again.
Here it is. We work with
Have
stakeholders.
you read the Nigerian petroleum industry bill?
Okay.
Have I read?
Yeah.
I do. I do have another. Point. I
Maybe you
want
need
to
to
point
go and
out
read
something
it.
else.
You know that what you're saying is it's a bunch of ridiculous crap.
Like I said, the Nigerian government should still be getting like export costs, like export fees from whatever company, South Korean company, from using its ports.
What are
What
you
I'm
talking
saying?
about, man?
Like if you're going to export or import or the use of the ports of a country,
Dude, what are you
usually
talking
they
about, man?
are not in private hands. They are in the public hands of the government. Governments have the tendency of exercising import taxes or importing taxes.
Yeah, if they
In the
own the
form of
port.
tariffs and things like that.
Yeah.
What
If
I'm
they own
saying is that Nigeria still has the capacity to make some money off of this. It's not entirely a lost cause. I understand where Kaz is coming from as far as like not having Nigeria retain full ownership and control of it. But I'm just saying it from the point of view of something might be better
Dude, let
than
somebody
nothing
else
at
speak,
all.
man. You don't let someone else speak, dude. You sound like one of those colors and finalists. They just be saying a bunch of stuff. They just mix so much terms. And let somebody else speak, man. You don't even know what you're talking about.
So yeah, so LA. Okay, so it's not just about money, right? It is about creating and reliance on self and building on that aspect of things, right?
Yeah.
If Nigeria was to focus its money and help on Dangote, and again, the government owns a share in Dangote's company. It's not like it's just Dangote and his group, right? They own a share in it. So if they focus on that, they could become extremely self-reliant. They could actually start to do big things, right? Right now, the refinery's working. It's not even reached capacity because they don't have enough crude oil. So when I call this undercutting is the government. Okay, so let me explain a little bit, right? One of Nigeria's greatest exports is crude oil in its crude form, right? The black gooey stuff. So they export a lot of that. They already have contracts with other countries whereby they export a certain amount every year.
Right.
So when Dangote needs this crude oil to process it, he actually doesn't even get enough of it from the Nigerian country, because the Nigerian country has other deals that they don't want to undercut for whatever reasons. So right now there's already competition for crude oil in Nigeria between the Dangote's group and his company, and also the Americans and all the other countries that buy crude oil from Nigeria. So by now creating another 100,000 barrels, I believe 100,000 barrels. No, I didn't read. Let me just read it. 100,000 barrels model refinery, 4 of them. This is going to undercut Dangote's accessibility to crude oil even more, and
Okay,
therefore
so hold it.
essentially making Dangote's company fail. That's now the
Right.
issue over here. The government will, of course, try to appease its South Korean investors by
Mm.
giving them priority rather than Dangote.
Right. So are we saying that self-reliance increases the value of Nigeria, would increase the value of the naira in relative to the dollar? Self-reliance.
100%, right? If Nigeria was
Right.
actually a true oil hub, whereby they actually own the means of production and distribution of oil products like gasoline and all the other components of it, people would actually trust in the naira. People would actually be willing to buy the naira in the international.
Right. Yeah.
Need it
because because the Nigeria would be moving towards more self-reliance, and less which is what the BRICS is all about. They're all trying to escape
the system.
Yeah.
So LA, that's the issue why this is wrong. So Mike, we're assuming it's correct. If we find information I misinterpret things, I'll also make a correction. Okay, we're just assuming that this is what Nigeria is doing, and clearly you agree. If it's true what Nigeria is doing, this is not a way to be free. This is actually a way to undercut your own population by not allowing your own country to be successful in one major thing by themselves, right? Because the investors in Dangote's refinery is mostly Africans, right? It's mostly Dangote Group and the government and a few foreigners, but it's not much foreigners compared to what I think this other deal is going to be over there. And we are all for Nigeria being self-reliant. So
But there
again,
is
as
no
I said,
deal. And second of all, do you know the Nigerian government, Nigerian state already own like about 4 refineries that already exist, right?
yeah, I don't. Are they operational?
Exactly. So this one idea of some foreigner going to build extra refinery where the one that already existing are not even operating to full capacity. Now you telling me that it makes sense that some people are adding more refinery, building for that refinery. It doesn't make any sense. So it's just you pulling off fallacies here, man. Come on.
I do have a question, Kay. You're saying that the original refinery that currently exists is not at full capacity. Is that correct?
For some good tea, greetings, Zani. Oh, yeah. 1 second. Yeah. Go ahead. So the current refinery that we have in Nigeria, say we, has reached what do you call it? It's completed and it can have at least 70% capacity. That's what they're claiming, right? However,
Okay.
it doesn't have it because there's not enough oil by the government. Right now, they're buying oil from other people to process it.
Who's
And
buying?
the government. Sorry, go ahead.
Who's buying oil from other people?
My question is, okay, the capacity of the refinery that has just been constructed is at 70%. Now, my question to you is, how much available oil does Nigeria actually have for that refinery to be actually being useful instead of having it just solely refine the crude oil that is being imported into the country?
Okay, good question, right? So Nigeria has a lot of crude oil, but a lot of that crude oil is held in contracts with other countries where they have to send a certain amount to them every year. So for Dangote's refinery to get 100%, they would need more crude oil, and the government can't give them any more crude oil than they already have. Otherwise, it will undercut other business arrangements. So for Dangote to reach 100%, they need to actually purchase crude oil from other countries, which is what they are doing in part to reach. Right now, they're actually 50%. They're selling around 650,000 barrels per day, right? That's the current estimate. So for them to get to 1.2 million barrels per day, they will need to get more crude oil. Right now, the issue is not the physical refinery; it's the fact that they just don't have enough oil. And the government.
2 million
Go ahead.
barrels.
Say that again.
I think we're exporting 2 million barrels per day right now.
2 million?
Yeah, around.
Oh, you mean of crude oil? Of crude oil, right?
Yeah,
of crude oil, right? Yeah.
Which
So that's quite a lot.
Dangote
Mark,
needs 400,000 barrels to refine,
More. Yes,
which
he needs 400,000 more.
okay, I do have one question to
was
ask you.
started. He was getting
Is
now. I think he's getting.
Alika is Dangote in other industries besides the crude oil refineries? Is he in something that could be like expanded upon besides that?
Yeah, he has other industries, right? But not in oil, right? He has industries in the other stuff.
I'm just saying, like, because I understand that he may receive the bulk of his money from crude oil, but it's kind of I'm not saying that he should solely focus on oil and not diversify, but I think that Nigeria as well as he would benefit from diversifying, the skill set of the people. You know what I'm saying? Like it shouldn't, they shouldn't be reliant upon one single source, because if you look at other countries, once they have like oil wealth and that was just it, they have the tendency to not innovate and not and fail. You know what I'm saying? So
There are
that's
many
what I'm
other
gonna say.
industries in Nigeria. It's not Dangote is not the sole runner of Nigerian economy. So we have many other companies, industries, and everything. So Dangote is no. We saying
I'm
Dangote.
just,
Everybody in
look
Nigeria
at
has a profit.
Tanzania. Tanzania, from what I heard, is trying to get into the aerospace situation market. You know what I'm saying, with building planes, and they're getting help from the Czech Republic. All I'm saying is that maybe they need to take a look at what Tanzania is doing, and possibly, branch out from just strictly oil. You know what I'm saying? Like as a country is concerned.
Is the only oil that we're doing? We're doing other. Don't we have other industries? We have many other industries, banking, so many other industries. Okay, so it's not only oil. We don't sit around just doing oil. If you're talking about export, yeah, the largest you can say it's oil. But if you're talking about the Nigerian economy, it's not just oil-based economy. So we have other industries. Yeah,
Why do you think, Mike?
yeah, go ahead.
Why do you think, Mike, that over such a long period that the naira has been decreasing in value compared to related to the dollar? What since the 1960s, maybe? Yeah. What has been going on? Because we have all these different presidents, but it's still the naira just still keeps steadily sinking. What do you think is causing that?
I wouldn't say it's sinking. I would say what has been going on over the years was the dollar was being subsidized in a sense, and a lot of people were taking advantage of it. So what the government decided to do right now is just kind of float the dollar. You understand?
So you're saying so since the 1960s, why the dollar, why the naira has been decreasing in value to?
Well, I would say we do overconsumption. We over imports, right? Because Nigeria is like we're like a spoiled brat. It's like we make a lot of money off crude, and what we do is just subsidize so many things. And that led to a lot of over importation, and of course, with a huge population, that means huge consumption, right?
Oh,
So
so let me see if I
yeah,
understand what
so
you're
when
saying.
that's why the government decided to take away subsidy, like, hey, you know what? We're subsidizing your life, make everything so cheap, including things that are imported. Sometimes in Nigeria, you find something where the country where that stuff is made, the price is higher than what you buy in Nigeria. It doesn't make sense. So what the government decided to do now is like, you know what, we're just gonna lift off all these things, and whoever can afford what, buy it. If you can't afford it, well, so be it. Stay consume what's local. Like in Nigeria now, you buy NEC for cheaper price and you buy it in France. NEC is
Right,
made
but
in France.
Mike,
So
but
everybody's
Mike,
just
slow down a bit.
partying. So
Yeah.
it's
Slow
like
down a bit.
we're just partying. We're just consuming so much
But
importation. That's
you've
why
been
our currency is so bad.
partying for what was it, nearly 80 years?
Yeah, irresponsible leadership, and of course,
You're blaming the leadership.
let me make you understand the real issue of Africa.
Yeah, go on.
European powers, they make fucked up deals with this leadership where they make your country a sole consumer of their products. They want you to consume what they produce, so that way they can have their own economy going, where they have jobs going. Like I said, if we consuming things, and I give you example NEC, I give you example things produced in America. When your government now subsidize those kind of uh, things where you make it cheaper in your country, and your population can consume it. That creates jobs in those European countries. They have a secure market in your country, in African countries.
Right.
So a few people,
market. Right.
exactly. So that's what it is. So now, before it wasn't like that, but it was when the IMF kind of made these African countries adopt these structural adjustment programs, where,
Ah.
yeah. So they pretty much just,
Okay.
it's for their own interest. But if you're serious as a country where you regulate things and you put measures in place where you over import, you cut down imports, then you remain rich. You keep your money.
Let me see if I can break down what you're saying, because I've done a chart, and the naira compared to the dollar has been sinking consistently for about 80 years, or even more, and government after government after government after government. So that's what I saw in the chart. So the explanation for that, you're saying, is that the American government has been subsidizing.
I won't say the Americans. I'll just say the IMF.
The West. So it's the West. Let's say the West against Africa then, because you brought in the IMF and the US. So the West has been subsidizing itself, and that is the reason why it's resulted in the naira sinking consistently, regardless of whatever government is in place in Nigeria.
One of the reasons why you have to support the rise of the Chinese, and what Vladimir Putin said, that you want a unipolar world. You want a multipolar world, not a unipolar world.
Yeah.
Where one side of the world they just print money, while the rest of us we earn money. You understand? And they, pretty much dictates to the rest of the world. So
who does? Who dictates to the rest of the world?
Well, the answer, man. I gotta do.
No, but I want to hear.
Whoever print their own money, we all depend on the dollar, right? And so whoever owns, we have to trade with the dollar. We have to. So the dollar is pretty much the real money. It is what dictates every value of everything else. And the dollar, is just. You know what I think? Do you know, like, where we people got it wrong is that when we ask you what's the definition of money, money is not currency, right? Money is actually raw materials, right? That's what money is, or produce. But when somebody decided to say, now money is this paper, right? This paper is what dictates values, right? So money is really what they define money. Money is really value. Whatever is valuable, that's money, right?
Right.
Like if you own cash in your hand, right? That's not money. But if you own properties, that's money. That's real money right there.
Right.
Because that's something that actually holds value. Because then the paper you hold in your hands, if today nobody wants it anymore, it becomes zero value, right? So that's not money. But if you own actual resources,
yes,
it's always what value. It's always something humans need.
Right. Hold that point there.
So that's what money. But when America decided to say, okay, everything is no longer money. This paper right here is real money.
Right.
It's what it's what actually holds value of everything. So now everybody now is hunting for the dollar. The whole world is. So that's what Russia and the Chinese are kind of complaining about. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
So America only have to print money, whereas the rest of us have to go earn the money. We have to earn the dollar. Right. They just have to print the dollar.
So if I agree with you. So would you, following what you just said, say that there's no point in blaming the African government? Then is it? The fault lies.
They're in the fucked up position. It's not only African government; it's every country. Third world countries, every country, except the European. US just look out for the European countries. They look out for wherever they look out for. Make sure it favors them, so they can dictate. That's why they can sanction you. They can do whatever.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So that's why you have to, when somebody say, "Oh, this leader is a puppet," whatever, he has no choice, man. If he choose to start against him, man, you have to figure. Maybe you can go start working with the, the Russians. And when the Chinese came about, wow, everybody's like, "Oh, wow, now we have a choice." You know what I'm saying? Like now
Right.
we have another partner we can deal with, because during the Cold War, everybody had balls. You understand? African countries, third world countries, you all had balls. That's when Idi Amin could look to England and say, "Hey, I'm a conqueror of the British Empire." He can tell the
Right.
Americans to F off. The
Right.
American, if you look at the video of the US government and president going to African countries, buying out African leaders, because you had the adversary that's equally, you know. But when the Soviet Union collapsed, when America became the
Right.
sole economic superpower, they started. You can't open your mouth anymore, because now they
Right.
can just do anything to you. You know,
Right. Right.
when one unipolar world where one country dictates to everybody, so they can just screw you over. Even if you're the richest, country in terms of resources, everything, they can tell you your resources on what nothing. No, my dollar is more. It's more valuable than your resources. When what is the dollar? It's just paper. It's just paper.
Right. Right.
It's like
Right.
me telling
Right.
you a piece of paper I print in my house is more valuable than your house.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
like me
That's right.
coming up to you and say, "Hey, I see three. You see this paper that I just printed, this toilet paper I took out of my bathroom? It's worth more than your house."
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly. So that's where we find ourselves. That's where the word is.
Okay. So now, having that knowledge and understanding how the world works at the moment, what is the most effective counter to that? We know the British
The way how anybody can break away. The reason why they can use their own monetary system to screw countries like China or Russia is because those people produce everything they consume. You get what I'm saying? Because where they can get you is the
use
market, the
everything that
marketplace.
they consume.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
So
production.
you can't screw them saying, "Oh, you need to go get dollar to import something from somebody." You get what I'm saying? Because the Chinese don't have to import shit from anybody; they just make it for themselves. And the
Right.
only thing Chinese have to do is go out there and convince you to come buy their stuff. You get it. So the African, if you want to get your way out of this mess, you need to invest in manufacturing, invest in how to make things you want yourself.
Right. Right.
Invest
That's what
in
guys always say
science
now
and
as
technology,
well.
invest money in your universities, and start doing research on everything you're buying, from toothpick to toothbrush to cell phones. Everything. Go invest in your geniuses in your society to figure out to manufacture these things.
So
So
are
when
you
you
saying
manufacture it, you have the resources in the soil, because the resources they're using to manufacture in America, everywhere else, is already in Africa. It's Africa that they're getting it from. So you
right?
don't
Right.
need anybody if you can make everything that you need for yourself. You don't need a dollar. You don't need nobody. You just make it, learn to make it, and they'll
Are
come
you
to
saying that
you.
the African leadership can't work that out?
That's what.
Are you saying that the African leadership in power, they cannot see what you just said there? They can't
Maybe they can
understand that.
see it, but see, I think.
Why precisely aren't they doing
But
it
but,
then?
but
When you're
here's the
saying
problem. Here's the
systematically,
problem. Here's the problem.
explain.
Okay, here's the problem. When you when you have somebody looking at your budgets, right? Somebody from outside, your budget is so publicized, and someone in another country looking at your budget, and you say you want to take a huge portion of your budget and invest it in research. And they're like, "Okay, nah, we can't let you do that, man. You want to put research and get people to start figuring out to, make things that we sell to you." They can just call their president and say, "Hey, listen, man, why don't you scrap that program?" For example, in the 70s, when Nigerian government decided, after the end of the Civil War, when some um, Biafran, uh, during the Civil War, when the Biafrans side, they didn't have weapons to fight anymore. They couldn't get weapons. They had what they call it, blockade. So they didn't have weapons to fight anymore. Guess what? The warlord Ojuku, called the professors, the university professors, the physics professors, and say, "Hey, what can we do, man? We're dead. Can you start using your knowledge to think how we can make weapons?" And within weeks, they started making weapons. They started African the first time African make weapons. They even made missile. There's a missile. Go Google it. Called Bunigwe. That's what they call it. A missile. Before their missile will even cruise. Like even before The only people that made something closely was the German during World War II. The Nigerians are making weapons. So after the war, the Nigerian government was like, oh, okay, so now we know that we got the brain to do things. And they wanted to put more, invest into weapons programs, start making their weapons. Guess what? The British, the American look at the budget and like, oh, you want to invest in this? Hey, you know what? I'm going to sit down with you and cut you a deal where you scrap that weapons program and we'll give you this aid, this amount of money every year, and we supply you weapon that you need. Kind of like when Iran wants to make weapon, they say, okay, we're going to make when Iran wants to make nuclear bomb, okay, let's make a nuclear deal. You don't make the weapons, but we're going to give you this billion. So that's how they sit your leaders down and say, hey, how about we help you in this area that you need, but you abandon that program. So if your African leader want to start investing in people research and all those things, they will get. They don't do that program. Okay, they be like, "Nah, I need it, but hey, you need this right now. You need this money right now. Take it." Abandon that program. So that's what happens. So if Africans themselves want to get out of it, don't make it a government endeavor. It has to be individuals. You get what I'm saying? It's got to be individual, private companies that are going to those programs. Even in America, the companies that are making the U.S. weapons and even the technology, it's not the U.S. government. You have like Lockheed Martin, they're the one making the weapons. You have Silicon Valley, all these people, they're the one making technology. So it's now up to we, the African people, to start using our head and stop sitting down like monkeys and marrying a bunch of wives and chasing booty and partying and we're sitting down waiting for a president to make it happen. So it's the African people that need to start thinking what they can do for their own society and not sit out. Because you as an individual, if you sit in your backyard, you want to decide, want to learn how to make iPhone, there's no way the U.S. government or British government can know about it. They can go find you and say, hey, stop doing that. Don't do that stuff. Don't do it.
Yeah.
When Dangote wanted to build his refinery, there's no way they will call him and say, Dangote, don't build that. But if a president wants to do it, they can figure a way to stop him from doing it. Just they have to make a diplomatic discussion with him and tell him to cut that program. So so the solution to Africa's problem is the Africans. It's in the hands of the African people.
The private sector, the African private sector is
correct.
Is the solution. Right. Interesting. Right. And then if it's the African private sector is starting to make progress, then will that impact the value of the nation's currency?
Of course, now, yeah, it's the market that dictates all these things. It's not like a president is only just doing things. It's the market.
It will impact the local currency. Our productivity of the citizen will actually impact the currency. For example, South Africa is an example whereby their productivity is high. Also, they export more than they import. And you look at their currency, it is stable and strong.
And so you're saying, because what you were saying is right. If the government, let's talk about Nigeria. If the Nigerian government wants to get into certain programs you was talking about and make their own weapons and become independent, then the foreign entities will come in and sit down with the government and say, look, you don't do that. Don't do that. It's not good. It's not good relations. So then you said, forget the government. It's got to be the African, the Nigerian private sector. So then the private sector, if we follow that model, so the private sector becomes successful, and then it's increasing the value of the currency of the state. So won't you be back to step one? Because if you're saying that the foreigners don't like it when the government is doing its programs, you were saying that, Mike, then it's still going to go back to the government if the private sector is doing well.
Yeah. Everybody will be happy if the private sector does well, government do well. It's all hands on deck. Governance is all hands on deck. I don't know why people believe it's politicians. They're responsible for everything. Yeah, and you also have to understand when private company is running something, they're doing it for profits. Like if a government trying to create an endeavor, right? It's politicians making policy. A politician's salary remains the same whether the program succeed or not. So a politician is easy to be bought. So someone from somewhere can just look in your country and say, oh, the government of their country wants to create this program or whatever. Okay, who's the person that's the actually responsible for calling the shots in this department, what department? And all they have to do is just going to corner the guy and open a briefcase, a CIA can open a briefcase
That's right.
and say, hey, dude, what is your salary?
Yeah.
As the minister, my salary is only $20,000 a month or something like that. Or if and then when I embezzle maybe another 20,000. I only make $40,000 a month as a minister of whatever. And then CIA guy was like, okay, I buy. Look at this briefcase. It's like $20 million, man. Hey, just go sabotage that program, and that's all it is. And next thing you know, you're like, oh, Nigeria, I thought they said they were going to start this program. What happened to it? Oh, we don't know, man. We don't know, man. That's what you be hearing. So that's how they do it, man. They buy that politician guy, they buy him, Hey, we can give your kids and your cousins and your whole family American citizenship.
Oh yes, and education.
Yeah, they can buy it. They buy all those guys in the government. They corrupt them, and that's it. They can. But with a private company, if I'm a private entity, before I even embark in an endeavor, it's because I have a vision, and I'm very passionate about it. I'm already a rich guy. I'm just trying to, and I know that. But if I succeed in that thing I'm trying to do, I'm gonna make billions of dollars, right? So you can approach me and say, "You want to bribe me $20 million?" When I know that thing I'm trying to do. Like Dangote, for example, if somebody would approach him and say, Dangote, let me bribe you $20 million, you abandon the refinery you're trying to build. He's going to look at you and laugh. Like, you kidding me? The refinery, I know I'm going to be making billions of dollars. You want to bribe me $20 million? But a politician that's trying to build a refinery for his country, it's his country's that's going to make him money, not him. So he just like the law of nature says, self-preservation first. Every human being is your interest before your country's interest. I don't care how you claim to be patriotic. It's all bullshit. Your interest, because you build that refinery, is your country is going to benefit it, but you at the same time want your children and grandchildren to be rich, and somebody now offer you $20 million. You'll be like, you know what? Yeah, let me just abandon it. Someone else will do it later. So it's easy. So that's why it's easier for private. You let private companies, get these things done, So
I
no
wonder
one
how
can
that guy leave who set up, turned Singapore into something special. He said all kinds of people were trying to bribe his people. I wonder how he managed to keep, avoid the problems that you're describing.
Who?
What's his name? Something Lee. The guy that kind of founded Singapore, kind of put Singapore on the map.
See, let me tell you something, man. These countries that want to advance, right? The first thing they do is they create a secret society. The people that call the shots, their face is not in public, so you can't find them. You understand? Somebody will tell you was Lee, whatever they made it happen. That's a lie. Lee, the guy, is just the spokesman. Just like in Russia, everybody turn on the news, say Putin is the one calling shots every day. Putin is just the front guy.
Right.
Yeah, the Kremlin. You understand? The people in it, if Putin get out, they can get rid of him and put in next person. Just like you sit there and think it's Joe Biden just calling all the shots. No, it's Pentagon. It's the people in the real people doing the research, the studies, everything. To make sure that no country that want to advance will put all the power in the hands of one individual.
Right.
Or the future of a country in the hands of one guy. Are you kidding me? But it's only with the third world countries that are so foolish that we put the future in the hands of one president or one politician, where anybody can buy or even corner or blackmail.
Yeah.
So if you want to do, if any country, African country, want to do anything, they want to really get somewhere, you have to create a secret society, and the people that are running the affairs will be in they call it the key shots. You understand? To secure the country from being bribed, from all these foreign sabotage. The foreign saboteurs cannot get to them, So because they're in the background, they're secret people,
Right. Yeah, it's true. Secret society. But then again, if there's a secret society, an effective secret society, then there's no real democracy, or that is the government.
You see the empire where I came from, or your empire, right? The reason why it never fell It's because the society is run by the empire is run by secret society. Or people
But
look at
Freemasons,
emperor,
yeah.
even till today, nobody knows who's running your empire, man. You know. So you look at the emperor and you think people find out that actually the secret society can tell the emperor to commit suicide. People were shocked when people started reading about the your empire. They say, "Wow." So
Right.
the secret then the emperor get out of line. He has to commit suicide. What?
Yes,
Who called the
it's true.
shots?
They did that even for the a ship's captain. If you that's right. They said he has to kill himself. He expected to kill himself. If
Yeah, because
yeah,
the secret society that run the empire.
yeah,
So you
yes,
can't
you're
you
right.
can't, you
You're right.
can't bring down a invisible enemy. You know, you can't bring down an invisible enemy, man.
So then the conversation moves on to um, rather than complaining about Africa. There's no point complaining about African leaders. It's about um, building secret societies. How does one build? So obviously the West has superior secret societies to African secret societies. And what is it about the West that enables them to have better secret societies than the Africans?
You know what's so funny? The people that can actually build more successful secret society will be so hard to infiltrate are the Africans, because
What? Yeah,
yes,
well, come
yes,
on.
because think about it, think about it. If Africa, for example, we doing our stuff secretly, so and they have to send a foreign uh spy to come in and spy. So they're gonna send a white man to be crawling in the middle of Africa to come spy. Everybody can say that, hey man, you don't look like us, man. You know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
the
know,
Chinese.
we,
Yeah, had managed to
you don't look
penetrate
like
China.
us, man. You know, and then you go to every African country. Each country have about 300 different languages. You know, so we can pick one and the secret code. We're when it comes to forming secret, we're the easiest people to do it, but we just don't. It's like we're in a position to do the uh to easily do the greatest things, but we just don't do it, man. Because the black man just doesn't have desire to do anything. Even if you have the knowledge, even if you give a black man the blueprint to do anything, he's not going to do it at the end of the day. Because a black man by his nature just doesn't have desire to
By
get things done.
nature.
Yeah, yeah.
But
You know that.
by saying that, then
No,
you're saying
yeah, and
that.
it's not like nature really doesn't say you can't do it, but a black man, what a black man wants to do in this life, he believe he's existing for, is to just experience pleasure. You know, now if you think I'm lying, just
Oh
no.
man.
If you think I'm lying, I see three. Spend time with your black friends and spend time with your Chinese and white friends, and see what he desire the most in his life. You find out that the Chinese white guy, what he desire most in his life is to conquer, or just conquer. You know, just get. You know, and the Chinese guy probably to become great. You know, become very great to compete with the white guy. But a black guy, you will find out what he wants. He's just I can have extra girlfriends and throw the best parties and freak off. Look at P Diddy, man, with all this money. All you want to do is freak off. That's the number one thing you want to do with the rest of his life is to freak off. When you could be using that money to invest in it to make changes. But he doesn't have desire for making changes or getting
Yeah, but the white
average.
man
The
is trying
black
to
man just want to have
fill up
sex
beautiful
all the
women.
time, man. We just
But the
that's
white
your problem. They need to castrate black men before you can start building anything. Go
right.
ahead. Yeah.
That's what the Turkish people were doing. Oh man, and the Arabs have been and
The
still
the
do.
the time when black men was most productive is when they're in slavery. You understand? I'm not talking about you guys in the diaspora. I'm just saying the most productive black man you find is the one that's in captivity. Is that in prison where he doesn't have access to for pleasure, and he become very productive. He start to think, start to because he has no choice but to start thinking, or he's in he's captured, he's in captivity. So he doesn't have freedom. Then he's like, okay, now I don't. I want to bang all these big booty ladies, but that's been taken away from me. There's no. I might as well give that up. Okay, what's next? That's why a guy in prison will read like 100 books, but a guy in freedom will not. You want to finish a book, You understand? So
Yeah,
to really make a black man do something, you got to use force to make him do it. You give black man freedom, he's not going to build anything, man. He's not even going to build his family. Yeah. I'm not saying all of us. Maybe you and I are an exception, but too many. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to denigrate my people, but hey, we have a nature that's really work against us. We need to examine that and question it. And maybe if we start to question it and begin to promote,
But yeah, but
like we condemn it,
yeah,
maybe we
but
start to
no, no,
change.
no, 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 no. If it's nature, if it's the nature of the black African, right? Then the nature is not the problem. What it is that you have to create a system
To
that
work
work
against your own
with
nature,
nature. Not work
work
against.
against your own human nature. Yeah,
No,
that's
yeah,
what everybody. We all have
you don't
human
want to
nature.
work
That's
against it.
what everyone else does. That's what they call discipline, and that's why in the military they have to program you to be disciplined, where you do things when you join the military. That's the first thing they do. Condition you to work against your human nature, whereby
Right.
you
It's a good
you you
point.
you
It's a
want to
good
do
point.
something
Yeah.
you don't feel like doing. You got to
Right.
get it done. They program you like mission. Mission, you got to get it done, no matter how dangerous or uncomfortable it is. That's why
Yes.
they train you to start to think like that, to condition you like that. So you have to condition yourself
Oh, that's
against your
interesting,
human nature.
actually. Yeah, because what do you think about this? Based on what you just said there, um, it'll be difficult to motivate the African to have good discipline for gold and chase the gold when the gold is in the land.
Can you
It's like
imagine?
it's like what's all this discipline for? What are you talking about? Look, there's diamonds over there. There's, there's oil there. What's all this stress? I don't want all this stress. It's not necessary.
I don't want to stress me. I got 3 wives at home. They're stressing me enough.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And
But in
I
Europe,
need time to bang all of them. So you know what I mean? And
right.
I
Yeah.
got
So
a party I got to throw. I got to,
yeah, that's right.
black man just have too much, fun to have, man. We just want to have fun, man. You know,
Right.
the black man
Yeah.
want to have fun. We want to enjoy ourselves, man. I mean, just go to college campuses, man. You see the kids that are doing most of the studying. It's the white and the Asian kids, man. The black kids, the African kids, man, we want to party, man. Yeah, I mean, unless you're lucky to just have the parents that are pushing you or community that So that's the thing. Man.
Yeah. If they have an understanding, um, that. But then again, you see, with the various tribes, it will be difficult to
When I read books
replicate.
about all these scientists, right? All these European scientists, and I find out what they went through to make that breakthrough. I will find out that this guy went to maybe an island by himself for 3 years to go study birds or study some animals or study something.
Insects. Yeah.
So I'm like, this guy, you went for 3 years without a woman? How many black man who say, hey, I want to go in an island by myself? I leave all these big booty girls in my neighborhood to go spend 3 years on an island to go study some goddamn nature. I mean, come
Yeah.
on, man. Yeah, how many black man they can do that? Come on. Even if he have
It's-
the vision, even if
yeah.
God showed him all the blueprints on how to do it, get it done, he knows how to get it done. But he's not going to abandon his pleasure to go get something done, man. So that's just our problem. We have to accept it. That's the root of our problem.
Mm. The- mm, 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 mm. Well, I don't like describing it as a problem. I'd like to see the problem is that we haven't worked out the best way to address nature, our nature. So that's yeah. So the problem is the system, not nature, not the nature of the Black African, because that would mean you're trying to use drugs or try and lobotomize the people, whilst they're fundamentally creative. Just like the myth of Osiris, the creator, that he set his brother, buried him. And Set is like the European. It's like he set a trap for the Black African and buried us in a certain way. I don't know. I'm not going to say nature. The nature of the black African is a problem. No.
I think me and USC were having a conversation one time about if you go I don't know if you ever I don't know how it is in the Caribbean, but if you ever go to Africa, like the African soil is so horrible for agriculture that if you take a soil, if you take a sand on the ground in Africa and you dump it on the roof of a house, within 3 days you see like a grass growing on the roof. That's how freaking rich and
Right.
horrible the African soil is for agriculture.
Right.
Now, whenever you go to Africa, you can drive for hours and you see land just laying there, just laying there, just laying there, just there. Whereby the animals in the jungle are just using their land to survive on their own without governments.
Right.
Then you go to African communities, you see people hungry. And then you wonder, like, are you kidding me? You see some people begging all over the cities. And you're like, why don't you guys go work the land, man? The land is rich. Or you don't even have to do too much. Just post it in the sun and walk away. Now come back.
Right.
Your food will be grown within 3 days. Just go put
Right.
seed in the soil. That's it. And they will look at you like, you talking rubbish. I'm telling you. And I'm like, okay, if these people are not going to do this simple thing, everybody's, no one wants agriculture. Everybody wants quick money. Oh, money, money. They want to trade, sell, open a shop and be selling rubbish and import, So I'm like, the only solution to this is government to just force people to do it. And somebody say, I'm so mean. Why you take human freedom away? I'm like, dude, the United States, the Americas, Europe, they use Africans to do free freaking agriculture and make Europe wealthy.
Yes.
Not in Africa, in the land where the soil is not even as rich as Africa. If all these Africans don't have nothing to do, then the government should just create an army and start putting all of them to plantation. You know what I mean? All these young boys are just hanging around, grabbing their balls, looking for a girl to sleep with. Pick them up on the goddamn. If you don't have something going on, just pick them up. Take them straight to the plantation.
Military service.
Pick them up. Yeah. What I'm saying, the solution, just create plantations. If you don't have anything going on in your life, if you want to hang around the street and you want to get a girl pregnant, well, you have enough energy. That's what we use the energy to do. We just pick you up. We got a plantation laying there. Yeah, you need to get there and go walk the soil, man. By the time you walk the soil, put millions of those young men on the soil, you grow all the food you need. Everybody will be fed. The kids will be fed. And then you export all the remaining food. You feed the rest of the world. That's the solution,
A benevolent dictator, an African dictator.
Yeah, I think Sankara did something similar to that, but now really more of it, he put everybody to work. In Burkina Faso, the economy started growing. They were feeding themselves. I'm telling you. But the French didn't like that, yeah.
Right. So did the French turn his own people against him, or did they send in some mercenaries?
Yeah, they turned his best friend against him.
Right.
Sankara talked about it. He said they want you guys to be beggars. They're telling you, giving you all this World Bank economic, structural adjustment program, all this rubbish. That don't make sense. You don't need this guy. You can produce everything you need. All you need in this life is whatever the soil can produce for you.
Yeah.
Feed yourself, grow your food, grow your crops, and export it. But Europeans don't want that. They want you to participate in the industrial economy where everybody runs to the cities and be importing and be trading. So all your Commonwealth can go back to Europe. So
yeah. It's a magic trick of the currency, as you were saying earlier on. It's just it's really then about the narrative then, because I know you talked about the gangs, secret societies, but then it's not. It doesn't seem to be the secret societies, because you're saying, as you were just saying, that then you went on to say it's the nature of the black African. So because first we were blaming the leaders, African leaders, and then you started to blame the Americans because they're compensating, the West is compensating its people, and increasing the value of Western currencies in contrast to Africa. And then you shifted to secret societies. And then you said it's the human nature. The black African by nature is not desperate. So what? So he doesn't need that level of discipline because he's not desperate. It's easy to discipline people when they can see they're in a certain situation. They're desperate. So you can so discipline and desperation go, whilst you're saying the Africans, because they're so wealthy and the soil is so rich, there's no reason for such serious, intense discipline. Well, I'm just going to head for the white supremacists to focus there, rather than say the black African nature is no good. What do you think, Nigeria first? No, Mike 2's here.
Say it again.
Mike 2.
Yeah, what did you say? I didn't hear. I was because Kaizo went to, he's doing another show somewhere.
Okay.
That's why.
You just changed your picture.
No. I came in as a what do they call it, host, so I can hide people from the back. You know?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because Kaizo is not here. He's on another show. In fact, I accidentally went on that show too, because I thought I was coming to this show. Yeah. He's on the show with some white people.
Oh, what's his name? Yeah, what's his name? Yeah. Philip Lindsay. This is why the cartel gave Tinubu an interest in the refinery in Malta, so that he would be conflicted against giving Dangote oil wholesale. The cartel. Foreign gangsters controlling
all these conspiracy theories, man. There's no goddamn foreigner giving Tinubu any crap, man. People like Kaiser just make up crap, man. Tinubu is a billionaire. Nobody bribing him for something.
Let me just say this: like all the stuff that Mike said is just inaccurate. That black men only want to pre-cum, like they don't have a desire to do businesses and stuff like that. I don't know who you be around, man, but the people that I surround myself with, they start businesses and stuff every day.
I didn't say business.
They out here doing it big every day. So I don't understand that mindset, because I don't have that mindset. None of the people around me had that mindset. Even a lot of the Africans I know don't have that mindset. So I don't know where you get that stuff from. That's just some stuff you. I guess I
think you misunderstood me. I think you misunderstood me. What you're saying is that black men around you, they do businesses and they're serious, they're responsible, which I am responsible. I still responsible. Being a responsible person, it's not difficult. Or starting a business is not difficult. I can teach a monkey how to start a business. We're talking about doing advanced things, like talking about spending hours and hours doing research, going like scientific research. I'm talking about breakthroughs, all those kind of things. That's what we're talking about. All those mediocre things like, oh, me, I feed my kids. That's not what we're talking about.
That's right.
We're not talking about, oh yeah, I put my pants off. I don't sag my pants. I don't break laws. I'm a law-abiding citizen. And I started a small business in my house. No, that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, anyone can do that. That's not
So would
difficult.
you say that the West has still conserved, has not changed the nature of the black man? So the black American nature is the same as the black African nature.
I don't want to stop talking about Black Americans because they'll be like, oh, he's talking about us.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I hope they're not thinking I'm talking about them when I say black man. I'm talking about, the black man I'm talking about is African man, sir.
Right.
So don't come here and take offense to, because every time you mention black, they think it's them. They're the only black that exist. Whenever I say black man, you think you're talking about them. They get angry and come at you. Oh, you talking about black man, black American. No, black man is no black American, okay? I'm speaking about my African people, so.
Okay. So what do you guys think is the way forward?
The way forward is to create
Uh, uh,
systems.
Mike, what I think is that I think Africa, as Africa country, we should look for selected few, like people like the mindset of Dangote, the mindset of like those in charge of the banking sector, mindset of BUA, the owner of BUA, Bois, and these guys, when just few people like that, allow them to control a certain sector of the economy, things will actually change because you don't need much. When you look at America, for example, the people that control the economy, when you do the numbers, they are very few. They are not, you know, who control the larger, what do you call it, economy. For example, a firm like BlackRock, yes, I think they have about 11 point something trillion under management. That's just one company controlling that kind of enormous wealth. You understand me? So in Africa, I think we have to like allow for certain people who are smart, who can run large corporation to manage a certain aspect of the economy.
That's what I think. There are two, here's my opinion. There are two kind of people you need to drive change. One, you need a visionary, and then you need the talented ones, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The people you just mentioned, those are the talented ones, the Dangotes and there's so many talents in Africa, you understand? A talented person just understand that, hey, I'm talented in this thing right here, right? And I want to use it to benefit myself and do and whatever, just, use my talent. Now, the visionary is the one that has a whole picture of where
Yeah.
he wants to take society, right? He has that picture. That vision of, okay, I want to take my society to this place. But I don't necessarily have the talent, but I just have the vision. So now the visionary is the one that will now team up with the talented ones. First of all, the visionary have to take over. You have to grab power, right? Once you grab power, right, now you will now be using your talented ones to do the work, and you be the one making rules. And the rules you'll be making, because you have to make the rules for the talented, because the talented can be corrupt. The talented don't have the vision for the society. They only have the talent for whatever area they have talent in, right? Dangote has talent in business. It doesn't mean he has talent in changing the country or every other aspect of your vision for a country. Just have a vision. A talented person always have vision in the area of his talents. Like, okay, I have a vision to build a refinery and become a 10 times richer than I am. And that's what it's going to do. And if you don't make rules for him, it's going to break. If you make a weak rules, you can take advantage of the society and make himself 10 times richer. And just, you understand? So the visionary will be so passionate about their vision that they won't tolerate anything that will hinder their vision. You understand?
Yep.
Okay, vision and create a mission. So you have a vision of where you want to be. You take your society, and then you create a mission, right? And in the process of creating a mission, you start making sure that nothing will hinder that mission. Meaning, i.e., corruption, indiscipline, stupidity, all those negative things that will destroy your mission. So I think your vision, right? So you start making the rules, and then you begin to use the talented ones.
And discipline.
This exactly. So those talented ones, some people can be talented and be lazy. Some people can be talented and be corrupt, right? So you have to make sure those talented ones, you find a way to force them, guide them to use their talent to help you achieve your mission. So visionaries are the people that take over society, and then the visionaries start hunting for the talented people in society, and then you start using your talented ones. You start hunting for all your geniuses. You start hunting for all the genius, all the gifted people. From childhood is when you start discovering them. You see one child like that that's only 7 years old. He's already a genius. The boy already know physics. Like he's born with the knowledge of physics. You understand? That one, you take him from school with all the regular children. You go and build a special school. Those ones, you take them and separate them from the rest of the regular kids. You put them in a special school like that. You start preparing them for future as your future scientists. You understand? You surround them with experimental labs, physics books, all the because they are born for that. You understand? The ones that are very good in sports, you take them, put them in a sports academy, so that the one that will win the Olympic gold for your country in the future. You understand? Different sports academy. That one is very good in soccer. You put him there in that soccer academy program. The one good in basketball, you put him in the basketball program. The one good in arts, you put him in the arts program. The one good in science, put him in science program. All your geniuses, everybody's a born genius in one area or the other, And then the rest of the population are just normal people, regular, do and average. You just keep them in the average society. So so that's how that's how you build society. And you want that gifted in business. You just want the one you put invest in. When they start investing, them doing business. You have business loans ready for them. So they tell them to bring their business plans. And then you give them all the loans, the infrastructure they need for their business to thrive, to build business, and then you make laws where you put regulations where they have no choice but to work hard and make their business succeed, or else if they become lazy, they can lose everything. Like in the US, where they put regulations where you can lose all your wealth, so you keep working, so you don't lose your wealth, So that's how visionaries are the one that will take over a society. They should take over.
That's good. But Mike, why did we not over the years we have a lot of gas? Like, why did we did not follow Malaysia kind of template whereby they use CNG. They have been using CNG since ages. You understand me? Instead, we were just behaving as if we were rich. We were just subsidizing everything instead of create an alternative. Allow the price of petrol to reflect the international market price instead of this constantly using money that are meant to be invest in other area of the economy. We use it to just make people feel okay, and economy remains stagnant. We are not growing nothing. This should have been done years ago. Introduce CNG to the populace, remove the subsidies since that 2012 that they wanted to remove it. We would have been in a better position now.
Yeah, they should have removed that subsidy when Jonathan wanted to remove it. All these things we are suffering now, we are suffering and seeing the light at the tunnel. We're experiencing the light at the end of the tunnel right now.
Yeah, it was just delay suffering. We delayed the suffering.
Yeah, we delayed that subsidy needed to go eventually. But because of politics, even these Tunubus, they were all playing the politics back then. They knew that thing needed to go, but because they want to grab power. You understand?
Yeah, it did.
That's why all this democracy thing to me, I don't believe in it. I'm sorry.
What you just said now actually showed that you are honest. Tinubu was part of the people that play politics with it, and what you just said now, I actually respect you for that. At least,
Me, I will not say because I support you, I will not be lying to defend you or things like that. You understand? You understand? I mean, I voted for him, and I still think he can do something. But if he doesn't do something right, I would call it out. Whatever I did wrong in the past, I'll call it out. You know, I don't do all this.
That's how it should be. That is how it should be. Not you just support somebody blindly.
I don't. People that do that stuff, I just. I mean, how much are they paying you for you to do all this campaign you're doing for somebody, man? Yeah.
It's
You know what I'm
crazy.
saying? Tinubu is not paying me money. Why would I be
Same thing.
covering that?
That's why I don't like. I don't take it personal because this guy.
I don't take it personal, man. I don't take it personal. Even politicians, I don't get emotionally attached to them like that.
Same thing with me.
Even this last election, the reason why I got into it was because of the obedience, the way where they just insulting everybody. I had to personally go against them. You understand?
Guess what? On Twitter, I told people, I said, you guys are creating sympathy vote for Tinubu.
That's what they did, man.
Yeah, that's what they did. Because the insult and ridicule were just too much. It didn't make any sense.
UFC, if somebody tell me that I will endorse personally somebody Tinubu, like let's say 6 months before the election, I would say no, you're out of your mind. Me, passionately, because the politicians that I was among all the main ones, like the real politicians. I'm not talking about the known that are not the ones that are like the Adewale Ashwari. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the main politicians in PDP, APC. The two people that was on my mind that I would see to probably be president was Yemi Osibanjo and Nyesom Wike. And Wike.
My own, I'm not gonna lie. My own was just Yemi Osibanjo.
Yeah, Yemi Osibanjo was my number one APC side, and then on the PDP side, I was like Wike because the guy. I just saw the guy. You know, I just like the guy. You know, and also his performance. He has a leadership charisma. You understand? That you know, he connect with the people. I'm like, this guy become president. He can connect with Nigeria. He talk to us, and he always talks to Rivers people and everything. So those were the two guys that I would say among the PDP and APC that I wanted. And I was really hoping that they win the primary. And then when they lost the primary, I was upset. Yeah. When Osibanjo didn't win that primary, I was really upset, man. I was so upset with Tinubu. Like, I'm like, come on now. I was like, I thought Tinubu was selfish because I just thought like, come, you and him probably have the same vision and everything, but the guy's younger. He's one. Let the guy go now. Why do you have to have power? I wasn't Tinubu. I wasn't really his man like that. You know, even though. I agree that he's gonna bring those quality people because he's a godfather kind of person, that kind of what he did in Lagos. I always thought he was better than Obi, no matter what. But with the Obi side, I wouldn't have even gone against Obi for the fact that I thought it was the turn of the Southeast. So Obi could have easily bought me with the sympathy of it's the turn of the Southeast too. You know what I'm saying? He probably could have bought me. But the way his people, the camp, oh my God, these people were so provocative. Like, oh my God. Their behavior was so bad that I had no choice but to passionately just go make sure they don't like campaign against them, you know.
It's just their overzealousness. That's the thing. When people become too overzealous, it's not good. And the mistake he made was that his inability to call them to order and say, no, calm down, guys. No,
that's typical of the character of Southeasterners. They struggle correctly at home.
Yeah. The polarization was too much. Yemi Osinbajo would have been able to bring unity to the country. He was the only one that I had. I was like,
among all the main politicians, he was the best, to be honest.
Yes, was the best. Yes, it was. And guess what? He would have been, if there's anything in the country, they will come out and speak to the people. Like, speaking is not his issue. He's very passionate, so it would have been good for the country.
Yeah. Osibanjo would have. He'd be talking to all uniting people and.
Yeah. He would have met everybody and talk with everybody and have meetings. Yeah, that would have happened.
Would have put everybody on the same page and
Yeah.
address all the issues we're having in the mind of whoever, all this ethnic stuff. Guy would have,
Yeah,
But
because
the guy demonstrated it now. Remember when
yeah,
the
when he
northern
took
youth
over
and the
from
Buhari,
Buhari as acting, yes, he actually did well.
that was the only time I felt like I had a leader in my country.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. He
guy, the
was.
guy was a good.
Yeah. Also, I didn't like the way the Tinubu guys treated him. You understand me?
Yeah, yeah.
Like most of them were ridiculing. Come on, he was a sitting president. I knew that. Like we all know that. Okay, yes, he doesn't have that political power that Tinubu has, but the way they disrespected the guy was bad, man.
Mm-hmm. I was upset with Tinubu, man. I was really upset, man.
Me too, I was, because I wanted him to win the ticket. But then when I said no, I'm not going to support APC. Then and I stood on the fence. Then I was watching. I advised people take it easy, focus on the issue, stop the insult. This guy, what you are doing now, you are making a lot of people actually have sympathy for him. Because guess what? He wasn't insultive to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were gaff. He were making some gaff during his you know election campaign, but it wasn't insulting anyone. So the other people just they started misbehaving and insulting. Politics can
Even to the point where the whole Shoyinka that normally never align with old politicians or mainstream politicians is always anti-system. They push Shoyinka to even sympathize with the man.
yeah, it's crazy.
Because people have to sympathize with him, especially like the guy's an elder.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
What's going on? What are you guys doing? Yeah, he's an elder. Shoyinka is an elder. Also, the way they treated Shoyinka was just crazy.
And Shoyinka was only just trying to talk to the obedience to calm down and behave like, he was just trying to tell them to behave well. As an elder, they just insult the guy for, I'm like, oh my God.
You know what surprised me? Their inability to realize that elders, when they are speaking true to you, they are kind of brash. They will say things harshly, but it's not from hate. That's how elderly people will say things to you. But they just took it personal, started insulting the guy. What the guy actually just gave them advice. But you see, these young people, they have no brain. That's why they are very, very difficult to create a collusion to support whatever they are pushing. Because they don't know that you can actually, for you to solve problem, you should be able to work with people you dislike. Work with them. So if you don't work with them, you won't solve the problem that you are trying to solve.
One thing I've noticed about people from this guy said it before, but I didn't really get it. I think Alabi Sama, I don't know if you know him. He said in one interview, he said the problem with the South is like they may have IQ, but they don't have EQ. EQ means emotional intelligence. Like, they lack that thing, man. Even like if you notice the way they go about a lot of things, even the agitation, everything. Sometimes you ask yourself, are these Southeasterners? I thought they are smart people. Like, we thought growing up in Nigeria, we always Southeasterners are smart and that kind of thing. But the way they go about things, like are these people retarded? But what you realize is they don't have that emotional intelligence to, you understand?
Yep, yeah.
To compose themselves, to calm down, because when your emotional is so high, your emotional, if you have low emotional intelligence, it will also affect your IQ,
Yeah, it does.
It affects your intelligence quotient. So that zero emotional intelligence. That's why you look at someone like Ujugu. This guy went to Oxford. And you're like, well, someone like you, how would you make this kind of decision? Like,
Man, he was just wilding out. I guess he didn't listen to his. Hello, are you there? Damn. What happened, Mike? Mike, are you?
Oh, what's up, man? What's up, man? I just want to tell you, man. I just want to tell you, when it comes to like Nigerian women, right?
Mm.
I really like your Yoruba women.
Oh.
Like the ones that I've seen, I like them, man.
The thing is that Nigeria women in general, it's not just about Yoruba or this thing. All the tribe, you will find a wonderful and decent lady from all the tribe. It just depends depending on the person. Yeah. Do you understand? Or do you get me? Hmm?
Um, huh? What?
Hello?
Yeah,
Can you hear
I'm
me now?
here.
Yes, yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead. Mike.
Yeah, I'm here.
What's going on? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So what state are you from?
Or what state am I from?
Yes, are you FBA or Africa or Black
Yeah,
America? Which
I'm
one?
FBA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Oh.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
But
Yeah, I had a phone
yeah,
call. So when I get a phone call like that, and then when I get back, it's like you won't hear me. I don't know. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes, I can hear you now. Hello?
yeah, I'm here.
No, no, Mike.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on one second. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, okay. I can hear you now. Yeah. Guy.
Yeah, you go ahead. You were saying something before before your this thing went out.
Oh, me, right?
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh,
Yeah,
I
you were
think I
saying
was.
you were saying something about Ojuku.
Oh, yeah. Like if you look at institutions, even it's all lack of emotional intelligence. Like it acted on out of emotion. Everything was like just the whole decision didn't make any sense. You're like, ah, where's your thinking hat? Are you thinking? You calculate? You know, that's why you say average scientists when they get angry. Bah, 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 bah. I'm like, dude, they have brain. I mean, like they don't think. They just act out of emotion. You know, even though you can have all the education in the
Yeah,
world,
yeah.
but you make decision on emotion. Come on, man.
Yeah, there's a day I was watching I think China. There was this panelist, one northerner and one southeasterner. Man, the southeasterner was highly emotional, and the northerner was very relaxed and quiet. I was like, damn, and he was actually hitting all the points that make sense. While the southeasterner
And the
was just
funny thing was, the Southeast Standard was probably went to more prestigious school, probably more educated. But the thing is, it wasn't cool and collective for him to have made his best presentation because
yeah, yeah,
he was
yeah,
he's angry. Maybe his anger over the things they brainwash themselves to believe, this victimhood thing. So that anger that's in his mind is speaking from that anger. So now it's not making sense. Because
yeah,
I've
yeah.
ran into a lot of them, like even professors. I literally sit down with them like this, and when studying conversation we're having, it has nothing to do with emotion. They will be so intelligent, breaking things down. Like this guy is smart. But then when it comes to a conversation where it's sensitive, emotional about, it will just be saying a bunch of rubbish because he's speaking from anger and you know, frustration. I'll be like, dude, you just making yourself look ridiculous, man. So that's one area I think that I always heard things that are emotional intelligent. They don't have that stuff, man.
Yeah, they are lacking. They are lacking on that department.
Yeah, that department, yeah. Because that campaign against Tinubu, it was just anger that they had towards him. And that anger of that whole Biafra, the agitation was going on. So it was already a lot of, someone resurrected the past,
The thing is
so
that
that
they
that was
forget.
the atmosphere at that time. So they took that anger against the against Tinubu, the anger that was already in them during that period, that hypobia anger, and they were just acting on emotion, just campaigning on emotion, and just
And
being insultive.
Tinubu was just playing normal politics, normal. Like he was not going extreme. He was just doing what other normal politicians does. Focus on the issue.
Mm. The whole thing didn't even make sense because the person that should all be if they were supposed to be angry at any politician, it was supposed to be Atiku. You understand? Because Atiku was the one that was really campaigning against them. He's the one that was playing them. You understand? Because he's the one that took Obi's mandate on PDP. He's the one that's really like competing against them. No, Tinubu is just that one. Tinubu has never offended them. He doesn't.
Mhm. The thing is that one thing I'm gonna give them is that I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to amplifying something, they are very good at that thing.
The propaganda and
Man, you see the name they gave the president now, T-Pain.
oh, they give him name now.
Yeah, yeah. His new name now is they call him T-Pain. T-Pain.
Which one
That's
with it?
yeah. So that's the new name now on Twitter.
I don't think they even learn from their loss in that election because now Obi is even losing more of his followers. Because I even know some Southwesterners that voted for him, that supported him back then. Now they withdrawn their support because he's some of his Southeast followers now they are just attacking the Tinubu's ethnic group. Ah, all those Yoruba Lagosians that voted for him for Obi. Now a lot of them now seeing that they are like, okay, what's this? They're just withdrawing their support.
But Mike, let's see. You know that the three major tribes, let's be honest, they are the ones drawing Nigeria backward. I need to say this.
I don't agree. I don't necessarily agree.
No, listen, I agree. For example,
maybe if you say the two, but if you say the three, I don't agree.
Let me tell you why. For example, South provide the highest revenue to the country, whereby all the oil and gas the revenue come from. We from that region, we actually want the country to work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me? We don't cause trouble and fight all the time or complain. We just want the country to work. But when you look at the people that goes head to head and always colliding, it is the bigger tribe, not us, the minority.
If you say the two out of the three, I can maybe agree with you to some degree.
No,
but okay. Let explain to me. The Hausas don't give problem in Nigeria.
No. There's a reason why I said three, because when you look at it, when Buhari was there, they were good.
But Buhari is not from the three major tribes. Buhari is from the minority, though.
No. See, they call themselves Hausa Fulani. So
they don't. It's we that attack them like that. In the north, they don't. I don't know if you ever lived in the north. If you ever been there, they all know. They differentiate themselves. They know their differences.
Okay.
Like someone like Babangida now. If you call him Hausa, he'll probably punch you. Like, who are you calling? He's not a Hausa man. He's a Nupe man. And someone like Abacha now, if you call him Hausa man, no, he's not a Hausa man. He's a Kanuri man. They are in the north. If you go to the north, they will actually make you realize that They are not these one people that we think they are. Because in the south, we just call everybody Hausa in the north, but they are not. The Hausas know themselves, and they've never been involved in all this. They're not even involved in politics like that. They are not, and they don't cause problem. Buhari, if you go and call him Hausa, we look at you like, what are you talking about? It's not an Hausa man, it's a Fulani man. So the three Hausas are the majority in the north, but they don't cause problem. They never cause problem. They don't even involve. They're not even that successful. They are usually poorest in the north too. They're very poor. They just live poor life. But in the south, the two major ones, the Yoruba and Igbo, we just block it. And I don't want to sound biased, but if you look at the antecedent, I don't think the Yorubas really want to be problem. It's just the Southeastern are the one carrying animosity in their hearts, and this their desire to just have everything their way. And of course, the Yorubas they are not dons that just give you what you can't just dictate, So, to me, if you ask me about your South, I think you guys are the problem, the South themselves, because somehow they are the one they are always pamper the Southeasterners and always line up behind them in their problems. Where Southeasterners are starting problem with whether the North or the Southwest, you see South people will be jumping behind them.
Mike, we know, for example, we know how to set our record straight. For example, when you look at Edo election, many of the obedient who were from Edo State, they just opposed labor. They said, no, this is Edo election, doesn't concern you guys, stay out of it. You understand me? Sometimes you have to make your position clear to everybody. No need to try to pander to anybody. Go straight. That's what we do in Edo State. We don't try to pander to anybody when it comes to Edo affair. We go straight to the point. The thing I see is that sometimes
they're attacking you guys online now for that decision
yes, but Mike, let me tell you the truth. Sometimes you guys want to play nice and be nice to everybody, want to be loved, and that's the issue. We don't play like that. We just go straight to the point. You don't want to like us, fine. Don't like us. If we want to support you also, that's what we do.
But Southwest don't do that though, man. I think sometimes you guys like accuse us of what the Southeast does. The Southeast, that's them. That's not Southwest. I don't think we Southwest are forcing you guys to vote this way or that way. We don't care. Do you see Southwesterners attacking? Do you see Southwesterners attacking South people for not aligning with Southwest politics or whatever? There's no attack now. Southwesterners, it's the Southeast that, like you said, they are emotionally unstable. They can attack you for just not agreeing with them. It's them. So when they are doing these things and people are saying, "Oh, you take their behavior, you used to judge all the three major tribes," and that's why I don't agree when people say that the three major tribes are not the problem. When people even talk about the civil war, it's not the three major tribes. It's only the Southeast. One is not from it's not Hausa, it's not Yoruba. So it's the Southeast that went to war with the whole country. They are the ones that are the real problem. It's all the problem the South have today. If you trace the origin of your problem, you see that Yoruba man don't get hand there, or even Hausa man don't get hand there.
Okay, Mike, let's allow Foley to speak.
The Igbo footprint is everywhere in your problem. So it's not. Yeah, go ahead, Foley. Yeah.
Foley, are you there?
Sorry, I'm there, but I'm listening. I will get back to you later. Sorry, I'm doing something now.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so when you guys make that statement, three major tribes is your problem. No, I don't think so. There's that South problem. If you go and trace the origin of all your problem, you're not going to say Yoruba fingerprint there or Hausa fingerprint there. The fingerprint you see there's maybe a bunch of minority tribes from the north, and then you see the Igbo all 5 fingerprint, 10 fingerprint on it. So your problem is the Southeast and some minority tribes from the north, because all the northern politicians that have put hand in the destruction of the South, In fact, let me say all the politicians that have put hand in the destruction of the South, whether it's Gowon, whether it's Babangida, whether it's Abacha, whether it's Buhari, none of those leaders are Hausa. And if you want to talk about the only Southwest leader we've had before 2 years, Obasanjo. And Obasanjo, in fact, I can say gave to the South because he's the one that when he became president, he gave you NDDC, he gave you 13% derivative. That's something that was taken from you guys, though. By who? By Ironsi. He took wealth. He decided to give it to the whole country. It was Ironsi now. So
Okay,
when people say the Yorubas, when many South people, I don't know who's brainwashing them, whether it's all these Abobians, when they start saying Yorubas are their problem, I'm like, where did Yoruba come and create your problem for you? When the Southwest create your problem? In fact, the Southwest were the one in the beginning were the one who fighting for your
no.
for
See,
the,
anybody that they are lying because let's be honest, Southwest is very accommodating. You understand me? Yes, they are very, very accommodating than many other states in Nigeria. So anybody that go out there and say, "Oh no, Yorubas are this," they are lying. When it comes to accommodating, they are very accommodating. You understand me?
well, when people say we create problem in Nigeria, they don't go to. I mean, I don't think they've played their politics beyond their border. Southwest in the history of Nigeria, the Southwestern have never played their politics beyond their border. If you can, if you can point out an instance, maybe you can. I can. Who's that? Yeah, they don't put their nose in. The only time I can say maybe they put their nose in some affairs, maybe when they want to agitate on behalf of the people, like maybe when the activists and they show you in cars and they trying to act, they are doing the activism for fairness, for the not the killing of Saudi, all those kind of things. But to say this kind of grab power in Nigeria, they start oppressing other groups. I don't know. I don't. Or they create a law against the rest of the tribes. I mean, if you can point out an instance there, I can say, yeah, with the
Okay, let
problem
me
of
say,
Nigeria.
you are right. See, the problem is it is the Southeast leader, not the people. For example, look what during the Senate presidency, these guys know it was the South time to become Senate president. Guess what? They end up supporting Hausa, and that is bad politics. You understand me? Because we always support them when it comes to to the Senate position. We always give them up.
See, to me, I'm away from this where the Senate guy come from, where the president come from. What me I want is policy you are making for your people when you go out there. You
No,
understand?
Mike.
Even when they are there, do they make
No,
policy
Mike.
for their people? Okay, there are people. Okay, for example, there are people who want.
Mike, no, Mike. Before you go, we need to be realistic. This is always why when I say we don't get things done because sometimes when we are discussing Nigeria, we don't add the Nigeria factor to it. See, people take this thing personal. When I say okay, someone from our side they didn't support us, all these things they take it personal. Voters, people that actually vote, they actually pay attention to these things. For example, I tell you the reason why my dad decided to vote for Obi. My dad told me it was the Southeast turn to become president. That was not what my dad told me. He voted for Obi. So in a place like Edo State, these things are very, very important. Guess what? In Edo
Yeah,
State,
if you're talking about presidency, we get it, but you don't no one really care about those senate or those positions. To be honest,
they
those
care.
other
For
lower.
example, Edo State governorship, we rotate it in Edo State. This time it went to the Asan tribe because the Aoshi tribe where Oshomole come from, they already take that position. Then it went to the Benin. So from the Benin now, the power moved to the Asan tribe. So these things rotate around at the local level because that's the only way for you to keep peace. If you don't do that, you know, it's gonna be a problem.
You're right. You're right. Well, if we are having constant mediocre performance or whatever, then people care so much about that. But the moment maybe someone start to give some groundbreaking performance, people will begin to look aside. Like for example, in Lagos now,
I agree.
when some people want to play that politics of this part of Lagos as we or that part, people just ignore it, man. Like they say, "Oh, come on, this guy We don't care. You don't want to, because some Lagos PDP now they're trying to play that politics of this part of Lagos hasn't be governor. Even the Oba is telling them to shut up, man. Like I don't want to hear that. Let's keep these guys, these little boys they have a plan and they are getting things done. Let's just keep it going. We are not interested in this which side politics. I mean, I'm an indigenous of Lagos myself. My part of Lagos, they haven't been governor yet. So I don't care. You understand? But if Lagos, like maybe the performance is just rubbish, you understand? Like other states where the governor Sanwo-Olu now, we don't know what he's doing. The places look rubbish. And then I'll participate, and that's when I'll start to participate in more. It's my turn though,
You are right. You are right. You are right. I actually agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when people begin to say, it's our turn though, because first of all, you're not doing it, you that were dead didn't do anything special anyway. So I might as well do turn my turn. But the moment someone start doing great, I will just continue that good work.
Yeah.
They don't make go start one. Even if you're the PDP guy now that wants to overthrow the APC in Lagos, even if it's come from my family, I won't support him because I'm like, my guy, man, just let them continue what they're doing because Lagos constantly these guys are just developing the place. So let them continue their work.
See, you guys need to thank Tinubu for the continuity this thing they lay on ground. But when you look at Lagos, when one governor finish, another one comes in, it will start immediately from where the other one stopped from.
Yeah, because he was part of the old government already. They lay a plan,
But in many states, it's not like that.
It's not like that now. Everybody just one guy come and take over. Everybody just power grabbing. Because everybody is focusing on power than actually performance. Everybody just wants to get power. So, and again, that's what I was going to tell you on IC3 earlier. The democracy thing, we got to scrap it. This is what we need to do. We just need to create a national plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll start to, even we can still do democracy, but let's create a national plan. We know what the plan is. And then we just build on that plan. Because this idea of one guy governor coming and start coming with his own plan, another one come 4 years later, he has no plan. He just come into and start pointing finger at something he did. I fixed that road. I pay money. Dude, we don't no. If we have a plan,
that 20, 30 years plan.
Exactly, and we expect that this one has to be done in the next 5 years. That one has to be done in the 7th year. This one by the 10th year, we already have all this. So in between that time, anybody cannot come in and start losing money now, or come and say he's not going to do anything, because we already have a plan. You already know what you're coming here to do. You already have a plan what to do. So you can't come in and say, you don't do it. At the end of the day, say you didn't do anything. Like Sanwo-Olu, for example, there's no way you could have spent 4 years and say I'm not doing anything. Because first of all, what it needs to do is already in place. It's already planned. You understand?
Yeah.
It's already addressed.
What you just said is true. But when you look at America, they already have plan. When a president comes in, what they normally do is that they just improve on already.
Yeah, it's already established. The experts on each area, each field, are the one that manage the plan. But you are just the figurehead to make sure that they are the one executing the plan, but you are just like the manager that come in. It's like hiring a new manager. It's like a business that already exists, right?
Yeah.
They already, and then you fire one manager, hire another manager. But the manager is coming to do the same job. It's just that he's more effective, but the job is already, the task and everything that needs to be done is already set up. It's already
laid out.
Yeah, it's already laid out, exactly.
Yeah. That's what we should do.
Yeah, that's the only way, man. That's the best way forward.
That template has worked in Lagos. That's why when you travel out of Lagos, like in 5 years, when you come back, you always see changes.
You always see changes. Even I just came back too. I came back last week. And the funny thing was that I was there in July. In fact, I was there in June. Came back early July, and now I went back in September, and I saw the Third Mainland Bridge. I saw something new again. I'm like, well, this guy is like constant,
Mm-hmm. And the red
line is there. Even the Third Mainland Bridge is already redesigned. I'm like, dude, within 3 months I left. It's work going on. Whereas other states, like Ogun State, all those ones, You go there, it's still the same rubbish, man. You go like, okay,
Bro,
is that the plan here? You know?
Mike, what surprised me is the coastal highway. This speed, the rate at which the project is going, is very fast. So man, I was surprised. Like,
Yeah,
man,
that coastal highway is moving fast. Yeah.
yeah, man, they are working really. I think they said that they are getting close to Ogun State already. I was like, damn, that's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. They are moving that thing fast, 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 fast.
yeah, they
Just
are
go.
moving fast. That's crazy, man.
Contrary to when people talk about hey, APC, APC this, APC that, my brother, the 16 years of PDP rule, those guys, I can't say they had a plan or infrastructure, man. People can sit there and talk. No, like someone like me, I live abroad. Yeah, people can say that when PDP was there, inflation wasn't coming, economy, whatever, this and that. But those guys, man, every time I used to go to Nigeria during PDP time, man, everything just looked rubbish, man. Roads, but nothing, no infrastructure.
Yes, there
But
was no
then when I started going during the Buhari time, I just seen work being done, infrastructure being built, So someone like me from abroad, when I go to Nigeria, what I want to see is good road. I would just say infrastructure. That's what I want to see. Everything else is really not my
Mike,
prerogative.
I watched a video recently in Lagos, and I was like, damn, a lot of projects are going on in Lagos. You will see all those, what they call it, when you are building high-rise building, those, is it cray? All those cray. There are a lot of cray everywhere. I was like, damn, these are a lot of projects going on. You understand me? But people
Yeah.
don't know that when you see all those things, you should know that things are going on, like they are building. Because I also really pay attention to those things. When you see cray everywhere of construction, you know that, man, people are building, people are creating. I agree. That's what messed up the Nigeria economy. If the PDP have invested like the way Buhari invested in infrastructure, Nigeria would have been in a better place.
Yeah, if imagine if when Obasanjo came in, like the rates of which the APC started building infrastructure from Buhari times to now. Imagine if it was something that started from 1999 when Obasanjo came in, focus on building infrastructure, right? By now, man, because when you have good infrastructure, right, that's when economy begins to thrive.
You are right. Let's
Yeah,
say,
because right now people are complaining about economy. The money that's supposed to be flowing around for people to be enjoying is what they are using to build infrastructure. People don't understand that. You understand what I'm saying? Because when they say, when Buhari came, no more money, or people don't see money circulating, it's because they need money to build project, man. This is something PDP should have done all these years. Because after they're done building all this project, then the money now, economy will start to advance, thrive. Because now the money can now be pumped into the economy. Yeah. Now you have good infrastructure, good rail system, good road network. Economy can start to grow.
do you know that? Do you know that we have a cargo rail now?
Yeah, it's going to be on the coastal highway now.
No, we already have an existing one already.
Oh, yeah. I think
Yeah,
that.
we have one to Ibadan. We also have another one from Lagos to Kaduna.
Exactly. See, and these were all built under Buhari time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the things that actually build economy. Not you just allow people to spend money, buy private jet, and you think that's economy. When something happens, everything blow away. That's what, because when financial crisis hit us, that's why you see everything just start. It just collapse because we are applying makeup on the injury and think it will go away. Sanusi and Ngozi Nkojo-Iweala, they predicted this period. They predicted all these things that Nigeria will go through hell if we don't remove the subsidy back in 2012. We didn't listen. Buhari should have just done it, but he didn't want Nigeria to suffer. But you see, prolonged suffer will still happen because there are some certain things you cannot just sweep under the rug.
Yeah, that thing has to go, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
people feel the pain, but hey, later on they will. They'll be thankful.
Sure.
They'll be thankful later on. Yeah.
hmm Guess what? Um, this period, you know that if you are in manufacturing in Nigeria, this is the best period for you. You know, tonight. I mean, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you are manufacturing, this is the best period because guess what?
Mhm.
Because of the depreciation of the naira, is if you are someone that manufacture and export,
Mhm.
best time for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the labor this thing now is very cheap to hire people to work very cheap now.
Mhm.
I said
This guy on Dama, he's trying to say he was saying something earlier. I think I don't know.
yeah. This prime minister of Grenada was in Nigeria recently. You know, he's the chairman of CARICOM.
It's in Dama
So
from Grenada. This guy.
yeah, the prime minister of Grenada.
Oh.
Yeah, he was in Nigeria this week to visit the Dangote refinery because he's the chairman of CARICOM. So I watched his interview. He said they are looking at the area of cement and I think crude oil and gasoline. I was like, wow, this is good. These are the kind of discussion I want to hear. Not
That's true Pan Africanism, right?
yeah, that's true Pan Africanism, 100%. That's what you are seeing there.
No, these ones are doing
Not
coming
noise maker, not
yeah.
noise maker. Yes, that's true Pan Africanism. Yes, 100%. Yeah, I was happy. I actually smiled when I saw that.
That'll
This
be the
man.
first Caribbean leader that will visit Nigeria.
Yes.
I've never had a Caribbean president.
Okay, let me tell you what opened this door. I think in April there were a conference in Bahamas. Is it Afrizim Bank annual conference? So they hosted it in Bahamas. So all the leaders from Caribbean was there. This same guy was there also. So Dangote was there. He attended that meeting. So so I was not surprised when I saw the guy visiting. Yeah, Dangote was part of the key speaker in that annual conference. So it's a good thing. Another thing I want us to also increase is our inter-Africa trade volume because I saw a data I think yesterday I was disappointed. South Africa is actually doing well when it comes to inter-Africa trade, but Nigeria and Egypt, man, we are messing up, man. Are you guys there? It seems like everyone is just quiet. It's
Oh,
Mike.
Oh yeah. We're here, man.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys can also speak now and contribute.
But I want to ask. Let me ask you. What city, like, is Lagos? Like, what is the primary, like ethnicity in Lagos? Is it like Yoruba, or is it Igbo, or is it like a mix?
It's Yoruba. They are the majority in Lagos because
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Cool.
it is their homeland. So of course they will be the
Yeah.
majority there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But every other tribes are there also because it's a mega city. So almost when you are in Lagos, like you are fully in Nigeria because every tribe is there. That's the only state whereby you find all the tribe in Nigeria. Like if there's 300 tribe in Nigeria, you will find out 300 tribes in Lagos. But when you come to my state, I don't think no, that will not be possible. I don't think all tribes are in my state. But Lagos is not like that. Everybody is there. Mike, am I right or wrong?
Yeah, you're right, man.
Yeah,
Meet everybody there. Yeah.
everybody is there.
Yeah, the benefit of growing up in Lagos is you get to know everyone from everywhere. I remember growing up, man. If they grew up for they met up for face to face house. Inside our house, then almost and everybody from Edo to Ijo, Urubu, Igbo, now they go learn one word or two words from each language, you know. If it's like going to go Ajegule, when everybody is that side, especially those south. If you go Ajegule, there's no way you be ignorant of the south. You go I there go know who be query, who be
Mike, Mike,
who be
there was one
Ogoni.
Mike, there was one celebrity that the obedient attack a lot on Twitter. She's an actress. I didn't know that. I didn't know the lady was from Edo State. I was surprised when he said she was from Edo State. She's from Aoshi. I was like, damn. I always thought she was Yoruba.
Which one? Which lady?
The one they were attacking on Twitter. Maybe you. What's the name? Something Ibrahim.
Mm.
Yeah, she's an actress. Yeah, she supported Tinubu, and they started attacking her on Twitter. I thought it was Yoruba. During that election, I discovered that no, she's from Edo State. I was like, damn, you
Like
guys,
a lot of
like you guys took her like your own person. That's crazy.
if you go like there's lot of people from we call Bender people. You know, like Edo and Delta are Bender. You guys are known as Bender people. When I was growing up in Lagos back then, all of them like I used to think about Yoruba people. They were completely like so we're from our western region, you know. So they were like the main people that first like migrated to Lagos even before the Southeastern. The Southeastern were more like they don't assimilate to that Lagos culture. Well, tell you, I'm from Bende. I was Bende. You know, and a lot of them, you know, they have Yoruba names too, you know.
Yeah, they are fully. For example,
I remember
people like
those time people, but I felt me. They all like,
yeah,
I
people
thought they
like
were Yoruba, you know.
you are
But I
right.
felt
People
me
like
later told me it's not Yoruba, it's Bende. I'm like,
people
yeah,
like Dele Momodu,
yeah.
Olumide Akpata. These people are from Edo State, so it's
So
crazy.
many of them, like in Lagos, like they have Yoruba name, but then they will say they are Bende. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. The reason for that, Okada, the Okada share border with Ondo State. So most people there, like for example, I have a friend, he's an Edo person, but his name is Femi. So they are they speak Yoruba and Benin language, but they are like their ethnicities between Edo and Ondo State around the border. So they just it's kind of it's crazy.
Even this guy Ovie, you know Ovie now.
Yes, Obi. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, last name Agbaje. You know,
Obi
yeah.
is Yoruba.
The guy is Frederick Agbaje. Now even the first last name is Frederick Agbaje. This guy Yoruba man. The guy said, "No, I'm Edo State." Also.
Oh,
I think
that means
that part of Edo State where the guy come from, those people that be Yoruba people, man, because
yes, but they are now Edo based on the way the land was shared. So yeah, they are Yoruba and they are Edo, so they are both.
Yeah, and another people, Shekiri people too. Those ones, they are when they start speaking Shekiri like this, I can understand a lot of things they are saying, man.
Really?
When Shekiri talk, I understand. Like I know what they are saying. I may not get everything, but I know what they are saying.
Oh damn! Really?
Yeah.
I've not heard anybody speak that language except
Shekiri are really. I want to say they are Yoruba people, man.
Okay,
And also when they count, we count from 1 to 1,000 the same way. In fact, we count everything the same way. Like counting.
I will search on YouTube if I will see.
Just type Shekiri counting 1 to. Now that they count 1, 2, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, count all the way. It's any AG, eta, and it's the same with Yoruba, man. It's the same thing.
That's crazy. Hey, what about for example, this guy that is from Kogi State, he speak Yoruba a lot. Dino Milaye.
I didn't know it's Yoruba. They are part of Gogi's Yoruba side. It's on the Yoruba side.
Okay. Okay.
And then even the Ibira,
Igbira, yes.
their language is very Yoruba. Yeah.
Igbira, yes. What about this state that's closer to Abuja, Niger State? Like someone like you mentioned his name,
Like Nupe.
Babangida. That means
Nupe historically they are tied to Yoruba people too. But though I haven't really listened to their language very well to see if.
I didn't know, really, this is the first time I didn't know Babangida was Nupe. I always thought he was Hausa or Fulani.
Yeah, that's the mistake we make. We think everybody is. See name now, Badamosi. Now you.
Badamusi, Baba.
That's the Yoruba name. That's very close to Yoruba name, you know.
Yeah, you are right. For example, this guy from Taraba, Theophilus Danjuma. You know Theophilus?
No. Danjuma, Theophilus is from Benue now.
He's from Benue, I he's from Taraba.
No, Danjuma is from Benue, I think. He's a TV man now.
Is he?
And people go say it's Awusa, you know this Ibobia, all those people during even the first coup. Do you know that the counter coup 1966, most of the guys that led us counter coup were not even from the core north. They were mainly the middle belt guys.
Yeah. A guy came here. I think a guy came here yesterday. I think he's a professor or something, or lecturer. He was claiming that they are ravaging Southeast, blah blah blah. They are collecting land. I said no. For example, in Edo State, all the Hausa people in Edo State, all the lands they owned were sold to them by our people. Nobody can come to Edo State and take an inch of our land. Nobody.
When Southeast standards they are collecting something from them, I always look like you guys are liars, man.
Yeah, that's lies. Come on.
Who collects something from Southeast standards? Are you kidding? They don't do those propaganda too much, man. Too much.
I said that's a lie. I said
they'll make it. The thing is, it's getting to a point where their lie is just becoming. It's almost like now when they talk now, you don't even want to hear what they have to say. Right?
Yeah.
Now it's gonna hurt them because by the time they start telling the truth, no one knows they are telling the truth.
I'm telling
you. But they just lie too much. Like they just go to lie.
How can minority defend their land? You that is majority.
They will cause online say Fulani are collecting their land in Igbo land. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We saw some dusty guy from the north. You're calling Igbo land. They collect land from Igbo.
The thing is that when they do that thing, they don't know actually that they make themselves look weak.
Exactly. Just like they came on this show, this one Southeast guy, Caesar, and he started promoting saying Fulanis rule everything. I'm like, dude, why are you making these people look so powerful? You know, the guy said they run Nigeria, they rule Nigeria. I'm like, dude, can you guys stop saying this rubbish? Because now you're making us, the rest of us, look weak. Because they will say Fulanis run Nigeria, Fulanis own Nigeria. I'm like, dude, which Fulani own Yoruba land? Are you crazy? It's like you're making me start look like a weak ass tribe, you know? You know what I'm saying now?
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're making me look the one Fulani guy from Sierra Leone now was arguing one time like, we're the strongest. They're trying to claim that they are the strongest ethnic group in Nigeria. I'm like, guy, no, you guys are not relevant like that. I'm sorry. You forget what these things you're hearing online from these Southeast standards. They're just doing propaganda to get their Biafra. The Fulani don't run anything. I don't know anywhere in Yoruba land where Fulani is running. Where they are running the show, you know, or is it in Benin Kingdom they are running the show? You know, the way they just promote that, they just make they make the rest of us look weak and look like we're just being run by.
I just saw the news. This is bad.
Yeah.
The owner of Airpeace has been indicted for money laundering and fraud in the US.
Onyema?
Yes.
Yeah. Is he arrested or what?
No, indicted.
All you have to do is just see his house in Nigeria. Then.
You have to do that.
I won't be. Onyema, I mean, the guy, it's someone I respect a lot, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't be doing something like that, man.
You just need to lawyer up. That's all.
America also no joke with their law.
Yeah, you just need to lawyer up, and
And that means it's business in UK. UK will have a reason to. It's probably the British behind that thing, man, because they have issue with him doing that. Uh, that flight, that London, Lagos, this thing.
yeah, I think if I were him, if I know that this whole thing might cause problem, I would just sell the company now to someone else, and because at a time, if the ruling is against him, that means they will have to see some of his aircraft and all that, and that will not be nice.
Yeah. Especially UK, they are more like the United States.
Yeah, they will seize it. Of course, they will work with US and seize its assets. It's crazy, man. Anyway, I pray for I pray for him. I wish him well, because anybody that is creating job and employing people, I will always support them. The thing is that when you are doing business, you have to do your best to keep your shit clean. If not,
Yeah, you gotta be, especially this Western world. This one, they don't joke. If they would make sure they don't care who you are, man. See this guy now, P Diddy. I don't think that guy will. When it comes to federal crime, federal indictment, or more that one, they escape. They escape at all. When it comes to U.S. federal indictments, hey, and all these in America, yeah, all these guys don't billionaire. You're still living in America. Yeah, they pack my load, go another country, man. Because they can get you any day, anytime. Oh yes, let me call the person that called me. Let me call that person back, man. The person's already
okay, bro, no problem.
We'll talk
Later.
later. Yeah.
Yeah. Good night.